Welcome, race fans. It's Wednesday night. That can only mean one thing. We are about to begin racing for the Elite Racing Network right here on YouTube and Twitch. So glad you could join us here. Tonight we are at the Magic Mile, yes, Loudon, New Hampshire, where we are going to get the second race of the season underway. They've left after conquering a great race at the World Center of Racing, a 2.5-mile racetrack. Now we're going to kind of a short track here, only 1 mile in length, but this track has a lot of character, and Rashov will be describing 150 laps of it tonight.
Absolutely, it's a unique racetrack, one of the few kind of flat 1 mile tracks that we've got on the calendar, and so very unique there for drivers to have to conquer, and of course a brand new challenge for the guys taking on these new next-gen Cup cars, right? You know, we've raced them on a super speedway. We've seen how they race there and the kind of racing we expect, but this is a short track, a completely different package we'd expect to see, and a completely different style of racing. So again, another test for these drivers here. Everything is still new, but New Hampshire, a familiar track, but we're looking forward to seeing. From what I've heard down on the ground from the drivers, tire wear is going to be a big issue tonight, so look out at those front right tires. That's where people are expecting to see the tires go first, and within a pretty short period of time.
150 miles here tonight, 150 laps. So like you said, a short race, half the scheduled race distance of a real one. We do know these guys can make it about 90 laps on fuel, but that tire window, that's questionable. That's something we'll be keeping an eye on. Do people short pit to try and take advantage later on in this race? No stages, just 150 green flag laps. That generic pace car by iRacing is about to pull in. The Signing Day Sport 150 is about to be live with the green flag in hand. Joshua Adams leads them down. We are racing the second race underway here to the Elite Racing Network.
Yeah, Josh Adams with a great pole time to get in front here. Almost clear there of Nick Massey through turn 1, and he is. So let's take a look as we continue further back. It looks like everyone's going to make it through cleanly, and that's important there as we watch the rest of the pack come on through. We've still got them too wide here down the back straightaway. R.C. Anderson making a move on the inside of Nick Massey to take over second position.
Caution already on the speedway, though it didn't take long. We had some incident in the back of the pack, and that will bring out the yellow flag here for the first time here today.
Let's take a look. Brent Jones, we see Michael Goodman, Alexander Vandesan, and Scott Haney all involved in this. Let's take a look and see what happened there. Oh, it was just in front there. It was the 44 car involved in that. Let's we'll head back to this.
A couple of cars couldn't get stopped in time and see what happens here. He just got loose.
Yeah,
just a hard shot to the outside wall, and unfortunately everybody that was in that outside lane there really had nowhere to go, with a couple of cars that were starting in the back already heavily damaged.
Yeah, wow, look at that. So very early on, just off of turn 2 and down the back straightaway, cars involved in big wrecks further down in the pack. Looks like for Michael Goodman, I think his day is certainly going to be over. I think the rest of them might still have a car that they can run the rest of this race. I didn't see significant damage on too many other drivers, but yeah, not the kind of start most of these guys wanted to see. We were hoping to maybe get some green flag running in here early on.
Yeah, and Michael Goodman, that's his second wreck already this season there. He had wrecked out at Daytona as well, so putting himself in a hole kind of early as far as point total, trying to make his bid in for a championship. It does not fare well for him today.
Yeah, definitely not ideal, but yeah, it's going to be really interesting. To see how different guys handle this car. Just got a report from the drivers down on pit road. It's going to be interesting. We might see guys spinning a lot around here because there's the new independent rear suspension with these cars. So something they're not used to handling, that rear end a little bit maybe more skittish than they're used to. So again, brand new car. We expect to see these issues for drivers. But right there, a great report from down on pit road that we're going to see this possibly all night here with guys just getting very loose off of the corners.
And so what is the correction for that here? Do you try and tighten up the car to cover that? I mean, an independent rear suspension, that's not something that we've ever actually had on iRacing as well. So how do these guys adapt to that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's and talking to some of the drivers during practice, it sounds like it's, you really don't. The biggest way to survive the rear end going out on you is to just avoid that situation in general, because a lot of drivers I was talking to is when that rear end steps out, expect to lose the car. A lot of guys saying that unlike, previous cars where, you could step out the rear end and you could still pick that car back up and get it pointed back in the right direction without losing too much time. In these cars, you lose that rear end, you're going around for a spin or hitting a wall or something like that. So a lot more at stake for these guys if there are mistakes on the racetrack.
All right, so you can see them double file on the back stretch. That means we are about to go green this time by working lap number 4 in the books. Again, 90 lap is about the fuel window here. Tire window, though, not the same. Be a little bit questionable. We'll see who makes that first move to dive on pit road once that fuel window opens up. Generic pace car going to make that hard left onto pit road. That allows Brandon Key to step on the gas. Excuse me, Joshua Adams to step on the gas. We are once again racing at New Hampshire.
So here we go, lap 5 underway, and you see guys single filed out a little bit earlier on in this, at least up front. Nathan Burrell makes the jump up to 3rd position ahead of Nick Massey. Massey right now moving backwards on these starts and restarts. He's got to kind of find his footing here. One of our rookies in the season, this season, so you kind of expect to see that from him. But very talented, and obviously did a great job getting that car qualified up front. Right now runs in the 4th position.
Right, Joshua Adams doing a great job. As caution once again is on the Speedway, the second one of the night, and it just might be that type of night. Let's go back and look what happened here.
Westergreen and Trevor Elam seem to be the two involved in this, and the incident happens in front. Westergreen can't check up in time. It looks like Trevor Elam's where it started. Ooh, Scott Haney.
Oh, Scott Haney with a big lick there to the side of David Westergreen, who was an innocent victim in turn 4.
Yeah, so let's take a look here. This is Trevor Elam in this number 29 car. Take a look at what happens. He comes down on the racetrack, gets hit by the 9 of Rusty Capel, and that's what kind of starts this all off. David Westergreen with nowhere to go, and then you'll see here Scott Haney doesn't brake in time and hits those two hard. Big damage on that 12 car, big damage on that 29 as well. And the 0-1 is Zishan Dura as well involved in that incident.
And oh man, you'd like to talk about give and take perhaps early on this race. Was that on the 29 perhaps, or was that on the 9 there?
That's a great question that you're asking here, and let's take a look once again at what happened here, and go back to this number 29 car. Trevor Elam involved in this incident. So once again, coming down here, see if we can get maybe a different camera angle. That looks like netcode even. I don't even know if
it might have been netcode. Yeah, you're right. He goes down, but he's diamonding the corner there. But the 9 car there, his entry is so low. That's just where he is going to be traveling right at that instant. And unfortunately, they did meet.
Yeah, back to live pictures here. That's really unfortunate for those guys. We'll take a look and see, but looks like all of those guys, of course, on pit road here have been for a little while. We'll see if any of them are able to make it off of pit road and kind of get their race back rolling again. Every position matters here, and if the car's seen some damage, you can still run some laps, try and get back some of those positions, especially if we're going to see a lot of cautions here tonight.
That's not something I don't think these guys necessarily expected here. Having these caution flags early, does that play into strategy a little bit as far as what to do for later on in this race?
Yeah, I think it's got to. I mean, with cautions and all that, we'd expect to, or actually, cautionless, we'd expect to see this as a one-lap race with the way the fuel works out, and I think guys could stretch their tires to meet whatever lap they needed to pit in, which would be lap 75, to kind of hit that halfway distance to a one-stopper. With the cautions, it gives guys some different opportunities, though right now the last place you want to be is mired in the pack, because that seems to be where all these incidents are taking place. So track position might be important in that sense, where maybe it is easy to pass on this particular type of racetrack and guys are able to make moves, but on restarts it really looks like it's just absolute chaos if you're going from 10th on back. You don't know what's going to happen, so if you're starting back there, restarting back there, you're putting yourself in big danger, especially if you're one of the guys up front here like Josh Adams, like R.C. Anderson, or Ethan Burrell. You're not as willing to give up that track position, even though you can probably still make moves on the racetrack given a green flag run.
Yep, and on the flip side of that, the guys that are on the back of the pack, perhaps they are trying, why not, if you're already in the back of the pack and trying to get yourself out of danger, why not go ahead and top off the fuel, perhaps get tires as well. We understand that these guys have 6 sets of tires for tonight's race. So maybe not take off a set of tires maybe now, considering we haven't really had a long green flag run, but that's something that these guys have to be thinking about in the back of their mind as we get set for already the 3rd restart of tonight.
Yeah, what you might potentially see from guys, and we'll follow this as the race goes on, is when we come to 90 laps to go in the race, within that fuel window, maybe you'll see guys coming if we have a caution there, and that would be a very interesting race if we expect to see more cautions. But right now, we're going to try and stay green flag racing as early goes Josh Adams.
Third time's a charm, and Joshua Adams on the gas as the 50 is now under attack by Ethan Burrell. Pouring some new colors there on that Toyota Camry. They are side by side for second, with Joshua Adams out to about a 2-car length lead in front of the two that are still side by side throughout most of the field.
Field seems to have gotten through mostly okay. Not too sure all the way at the back, but right now we stay under green flag racing. R.C. Anderson keeps a hold on to the second position. Ethan Burrell right now consolidates third ahead of Nick Massey. Meanwhile, Chris Wright trying to make a move on the number 48 Ford Mustang here. We'll see if he's able to make that move down here to the inside of turns 1 and 2. We're going to see Massey go
right behind there. Tight Lytle drove it in there right underneath, I believe, just behind David Tooker in that 19 car. Trying to get all that he can early as we get the first consecutive laps.
Ooh, Tate Lytle's done!
Tate Lytle! Can he
saves
it?
it?
He does!
What a job there by Tate Lytle. Comes down a little bit there on Brandon Key. Not too sure whose side of that I'd go to, but man, oh man, what a great save by Tate Lytle. Slides it up the racetrack, keeps it pointing in the right direction, checks up the second pack a little bit, but what a save there early on. We mentioned that the cars were going to be difficult to save, but man, you put it in the hands of Tate Lytle, he can do it.
Absolutely, as we see the 37 car giving the business to the back of the 95, who R.C. Anderson has been able to pass. And we have a new leader up front.
Yeah, R.C. Anderson, one of our kind of regulars now at this point in the Elite Racing Leagues. The Elite Racing League has been on his helmet as he's taken part in a couple of races at Watkins Glen in the Cup Series 2 weekends ago, as well as in the IndyCar Series at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway last weekend. So great to have that support from R.C. Anderson. He's been doing a great job in his real-life racing endeavors, and of course he's come back to iRacing, hasn't missed a beat. Back to the lead here on lap 14.
Right now that 99 has a mirrorful of the 37 as 50 car, trying to stretch it out just a little bit, ever so much. Rich, I was going to talk to you about this racetrack here. It's flat, we understand that, but you do have two kind of grooves here. The progressive banking can kind of try and catch the car up in that second lane where drivers are using right now, but do we see people? Oh, we got a caution on the Speedway here, our third one of the night.
Caution flag is out, and Josh Clark is the car that we see. Let's head back over to the Elite Racing replay and take a look at this number 28. It's the 86 car there, Brent Jones losing it in front of Josh Clark. So we got the notification about Clark, but it was Brent Jones that kind of kicked all of that off. Let's head back over and take a look and see what that looked like for Brent Jones.
Almost an exact replay what we saw with the 44 car to trigger our first caution. He just kind of went dead to the left in the middle of the straightaway. So interesting to see the accidents. Two of them already have come out on the straightaway, no less.
Yeah, let's take a look. So there you see a bump from the 14.
We got hooked from Casey Hatch in the 14. And that catches the left rear of the 28, who surprisingly doesn't have a lot of damage, and everybody's able to miss him right there. So he's going to lose some track position and perhaps going to have to go down pit road to fix that and get a new set of tires. But not damaged, which is still good for his endeavors in trying to get back up to the front.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Josh Clark here. Let's take a look and see where he is. Guessing he's going to bring that car down pit road. Might be just some minor damage there he's going to have to address. But yeah, man, we're seeing this again and again. Just lap 16 here, and we're already on the third caution of the day. These cars are tricky to handle for everybody, it seems, right now. Especially on these short tracks here where you're focused so much on putting the power down and focusing on that rear end. Guys are struggling with getting that rear end working for them.
So right now we are a little bit of a crossroad, I believe. What do you think we see on this pit cycle? Do we see the leader stay out, or perhaps is it time to put on some new rubber?
I'm going to say stay out here. We're running lap 15, turning over to lap 16, so we're not quite in that window. I think if you're leading this race and you're seeing how many cautions there are right now, I'm going to say you bet on coming in when the caution shows. I'm going to say what I said last time before we just went green. when we're 90 laps to go or we're within that fuel window, whatever that looks like for each of these drivers, that's when you come down and pit. The next caution after you're inside that window, that's when you pit, because you put on those tires, and from then on, in theory, if we have a ton of cautions in this race, you never have to run down pit road ever again.
That's very, very, very true. Like the crew chief hat that you are wearing right there. We'll see if that will come to fruition here today, but again, working our third caution flag of the night. Might be a good time perhaps to put a commercial if we do get a long green run later on.
Yeah, we'll see. I'd love to see a green flag run. I think with the way the tires wear on this type of racetrack, I'm curious to see how it fares out. Who's got long run speed? Who can make this work on this track? And I mean, just in general, obviously we're here to see these cars race. It's another test for these next-gen Cup cars. We're one of the first leagues on iRacing to really adopt these cars, and we're seeing here there are still teething problems. There are still things we're working out, but this is just continuously testing. These guys are going out there racing these cars on tracks and, where they have no idea how the car is going to behave until you show up here on race day.
You see the 50 car elect to start on the inside. Don't know if we're going to see much of that outside lane, at least on the start, and restarts from other drivers, but that could play into that could come into play later on in this race. So we'll see about that.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, with the starting spot, getting to choose, we've talked a lot about which side is best, and that makes sense when you've got a restart zone. The thing is, with iRacing here, the second that pace car goes off, R.C. Anderson can start this race back up whenever he feels like it. So he's got that huge advantage if he starts on the outside or the inside. So, I'm curious to see what guys choose over the course of the race, but largely you don't expect to see it making a huge difference on a track like this. We'll take a look, though.
All right. So we're going to see that pace car peel in, and R.C. Anderson going to step on the gas. He waits a little bit. There he goes. Got a couple of them sleeping.
Yeah, caught them off guard. Great
That's
restart.
exactly what you want to do, though, as a leader on a restart.
Josh Adams then dives to the bottom lane, and meanwhile we've got a nice battle here now for third position. Nick Massey and Chris Wright, the battle of the rookies here, both of them stepping up from the Xfinity Series, having great, rookie seasons even there, stepping up to the Cup Series and have immediately put on great impressions. Nick Massey, Chris Wright here side by side still around turns 3 and 4, and you can see right there, like you were talking about, you do have multiple grooves. You can make this track work for you no matter where you're running on it.
Yeah, it's about 12 degrees of banking on the front and back straightaway here. It decreases to 2 to 7 depending on what lane you're using. Obviously, on the inside lane, you're going to have a little bit less banking. Still not a lot.
Oh,
Brandon Key involved in most of the field has to get around this. A parking lot out of turn number 2.
Oh, the 23 of Harrison Talon and a huge hit there to the tires. 37 of Ethan Burrell involved there. You see the 14 of KZ Hash. Joshua Furr involved in that. Tons of cars involved in that incident. Oh, man, oh, man.
The fourth caution of the night will be huge. It all began when the 99 got loose right in front of half the field, and then how do you navigate around that? It's blocked. 23 Harrison Talon. Wow, a wild ride over the tire barrier on the infield.
Yeah, man, oh man, a difficult ride there for a bunch of drivers here, and you hate to see that. I think a little bit further back, I want to see who that is. That Josh Robin there was also involved. He got caught up in that incident. You can see the car even crabbing a little bit, the way that splitter is not flush against the ground. So Robin with some big damage as well. A lot of drivers involved there. I see Brandon Key, Tate Lytle, Chuck Sweeting, I think just missed that. Zishan Dura back in that. Let's take a look, go back a little bit here and see. You see this all kind of happening in front of these guys.
It really, the cars didn't start piling up until they started going to the inside of the racetrack. And I believe that's where everybody was diving, because once Brandon Key got turned, he was on the outside of the racetrack. So it just clogged up and there was basically nowhere to go. And I was interested to see how the 37 car, Ethan Burrell, why he was involved in that so far back after starting up front.
Yeah, interesting.
With that.
I wonder with Ethan Burrell, did he run that car down pit road? He did.
He may have taken a pit stop, and it cost him dearly.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we were talking about there is you can make that pit stop, you can go for those fresh tires, but it's going to put you in this danger zone, and that's exactly what it's done right here. So back out on the racetrack, you're not seeing any of these guys up front coming down pit road right now, but I mean, especially
you're right,
after
because
that.
that is the date. I think you've made your bed now. You have to lay in it, and that is unfortunate there for the 37, who had a stellar car here tonight. He started inside the top 5, I believe, in 3rd place, and now his car heavily damaged, involved with that. Brandon Key, it's also been a tough week for him. I understand he and his partner have a 1-year-old that has been battling COVID. Thankfully, they've been able to have her back inside the house, but I know as a 1-month-old battling, that has got to be hard as a parent, and he's not had the sleep.
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely.
imagine they're being worried. So our hearts go out to him and his family as they continue to fight this disease that has just taken so many from us here, and our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family because of that.
Yeah, for sure. Difficult time there for Brandon Key, and you know, today this certainly doesn't help his his championship hopes. He was leading the championship points-wise coming into this event here, after getting some great stage points, doing a great job in the duels. Was only not listed as our top seed just because that man in front there in that brightly colored car, Johnny Thomas, was your Daytona 500 winner. Speaking of Johnny Thomas, though, involved in one of these wrecks here, damage on that number 91 car. Doesn't have to be too concerned just because he's already locked into the chase, but not the way you want to follow up last week's win at Daytona.
My oh my, we've had no shortness of action on the racetrack here, but I believe the most laps led has gone to the pace car already.
Yeah, it certainly has.
Swing into the other driver's favor later on, but RC Anderson and the 95, they perhaps have the best seat in the house, and they are perhaps the safest, because then we're back, and that has not fared well for our drivers.
Yeah, it really hasn't, and I think we're going to see this continuously throughout this event. We're only on lap 23 or running lap 24 right now. 24 of 150, and we're already on our 4th caution of the night. Not a great start for a racetrack like this. We'd hope to see more green flag running, and hopefully we will. But if this is the race that guys are going to have to deal with, we're going to see how guys play the strategy on this one.
All right, so RC Anderson once again back on the gas, and the green flag is out. Joshua Adams in that outside line. The rookie's right behind him, heading to turn 1.
Yeah, meanwhile, you got Chad Frankenfield, David Tooker duking it out there for the 5th position. Frankenfield tries to get up to Nick Massey. Teammates there for the 90 Motorsports squad. Not quite able to get to his teammate Tooker. Meanwhile, hanging on that outside with Gerald Campbell right behind him, seeing if that outside lane can work. See Gerald actually diving back down to the bottom, trying to see if that's the faster line here. Guys still need to figure stuff out here. We haven't had enough green flag laps to figure out, all right, what's the best line here, not just for speed, but for also making those tires last over the course of a run. You've kind of got to figure out how you want to balance this run right now, because do you go for that straight-up speed, go for making passes early on here because you think there's going to be a caution, or heck, could this be the run where we get a nice green flag run in?
We'll find out as Chris Wright using the bottom of the racetrack there to try to get around Nick Mass in that 48 car. Looks like the run, though, will go do the 48 cars. The 20 now decides to follow him, and here comes the 15 with a look underneath. Doesn't get right there. David Tooker now applying the pressure to the back bumper of the 15 as the front 6 or 7 cars are single file all the way back. I believe that's Jeff Green, Jacob Adams, and Matthew Weeks.
Yeah, here's our first kind of 2-wide battle on the racetrack. It's between Scott Crump and Caleb Thompson. We'll see what Thompson can do. Can he get the run off the corner up top? He's going to get some help here from the 0-3 of Dylan Thomas down the straightaway. And, ooh, almost a big checkup into turn 1.
Oh, and he's in the wall, actually, because of that. I don't know if he missed his braking zone or not.
Yeah.
He'll get in line back by Chuck Sweeting there, but a little bit of damage on the 04 car right there.
Big checkup heading into turn 1, and that hurt Caleb Thompson massively. So we'll see what the damage is on that race car, see how he continues to race. Right now running in the 14th position.
Up ahead, RC Anderson's been able to stretch it out just a little bit over the 95, of Joshua Adams. These guys, take a look at their line right there. I believe, as you said there, Rob, everybody's still kind of searching to figure out exactly what line. Oh! Trouble on turn 2 again. This is going to be mid-pack One car spinning, and does anybody else hit him? We're about to find out.
Yeah, Caleb Thompson, we talked about him. He got involved in that hit the lap before, and maybe that just loosened up the car or messed something up for him balance-wise, but Caleb Thompson involved in that wreck. Let's head back over to the replay, take a look and see what happened to the 04 car. So you remember the lap before, went up into the wall outside there, maybe comes back to, interesting. Looked like he kind of got hit, maybe net code there. Ooh.
Wow, what a good job by those two cars on the outside, and then you see the rest of the field split him as he's hard on the brake, doing everything he needs to do. Well, once you have a spin like that, you're just supposed to try and just stop. You know, don't try and run into other people's path, but I think the right side of that car had damage there, and you see him spin it back on the gas to keep it from getting into the outside wall right there, and then the car sets itself and he brakes, doing a great job. So besides the damage to the wall which he had in that stack up earlier, he can get fixed. Not really a harmless spin, if you will, from that incident.
Yeah, my guess with what happened there is he checked up mid-corner behind Scott Crump. Wasn't maybe, we were talking about different lines. Maybe Crump wasn't rolling the center as fast as Thompson was. You can maybe, Thompson might have been a bit slower on entry and exit, rolling the center fast, while Crump was going maybe for more of a triangular shape to the corner. Had to check up, and I think it was getting back on the power, maybe just got on the power a little bit too early and just self-spun it. I don't think there was any contact involved there, just a little bit too much power there. Again, dealing with that rear end. These guys are really struggling with the way these cars are driving. I personally, not a fan of the cautions that we're seeing, but I'm a fan of the fact that these drivers are being challenged. There is, something difficult about the way these cars drive. They're having to change the way they drive, a stock car, and changing the way they have to think about how to approach these racetracks. I'm a big fan of that. I like the change here, and I'm curious to see how this continues to play out. But obviously, we'd like to see some green flag racing as well.
We'll see exactly what happens as pit road is open right there. But again, the leaders elect to stay out. We're still about 30 laps away from opening up that green flag window toward the end of this race.
Yeah, for sure. We're getting close there. Probably within about 20, 25 laps is when I'd say you'd be safe to come down pit road and probably make it to the end under green flag conditions, let alone cautions. So, we could be getting close to that first pit stop here. Caution number 5 of the night. So, you're probably thinking it's going to be a pretty caution-filled race. The other interesting thing, of course, is going to be if 90 laps is how much you can do on green flag runs. I mean, the fact that we've had so many laps under caution right now, can someone go, this entire race without ever running down pit road? If we stay here under, 2-3 lap runs and then cautions, what's stopping these guys from being able to make it all the way to the end here on this original tank?
Well, hopefully we won't get down toward that.
I hope not either, but,
But that is something to take into consideration here, especially with I believe our longest green flag run really has been about 5 to 6 laps.
Yeah, it really hasn't been long, and I'm hoping that, we've kind of gotten all of these teething pains out of the way in these first, laps, and we can kind of get back to some green flag racing, but, I mean, who knows? We can't really tell how difficult the car is to drive from up here. We don't know what these drivers are dealing with. We can kind of see and make observations, but at the end of the day, it's what these drivers can do and if they can keep these cars on the racetrack.
The drivers have had their hands full here tonight, already working our 5th caution with multiple cars involved with damage. Already the biggest issue of the day, that last one when Brandon Key, or excuse me, actually the second to last one, Brandon Key got around and took out a lot of other competitors with him. Hopefully the Scotch flag's been allowed, although some of those drivers with minor damage to be able to fix that and get more competitive as we see the pace car go down pit road for the 5th time here tonight. R.C. Anderson back on the gas, and we're back under green, working lap 32 of 150.
Yep.
34 150.
Here we go. Josh Adams versus Nick Massey again for the second position. Massey on the inside lane, Adams on the outside. We'll see who gets a better run off the corner. You expect it to be that outside lane. Ooh, you see someone ducking out just a little bit further back. But meanwhile, this battle for the second position, they stay side by side. Nick Massey almost gets up into Josh Adams. Has to check up a bit, and I think he's going to give that 95 car the second spot in this race.
Right there, you saw He'll try to seal it in there. That'll be something I think we see later on, working those guys up the racetrack there to try and getting that spot. Everybody trying to contest their position and try to save it. There's Nick Massey. He slides back in to third place, and now here comes Chad Frankenfield on the attack. 20 Chris Wright on his outside.
Yeah, Frankenfield trying to make that inside lane work where you're taking that shorter route around the racetrack. You're just not getting the same runs off the corner that you can see there. Chris Wright's able to kind of gap Chad Frankenfield, kind of clear the bumper there, but then you see Chad comes right back there late on the brakes, controls the car down to the center of the corner, and drives it off. Does a good job hanging on to this 20 car, but I think just off of the corner, it's going to be tough for Chad to really make a move. He's got to make that on corner entry, taking away that line from Chris Wright.
And now he's working underneath as he gets into the 20 of Chris Wright. He's spinning Chris Wright. Caution! Chris Wright did not go fully around there, but the iRacing officials...
I think there was another wreck on the
6 times a day, perhaps. Oh, right at the same time.
No, excuse me, this was the previous one, so the yellow flag is out. Just can't seem to figure out why it came out here. Let's head back to... Is this Caleb Thompson again? I think it might actually be.
I don't think so.
No,
right there,
not.
We saw Chris Wright and the 15 of Chad Frankenfield get into it.
Yeah.
There's Chad.
Let's take a look here. Yeah, it is this. This is exactly when the moment that the yellow flag came out, and it was because that number 20 car was stopped effectively on the racetrack.
Interesting to see, and I don't know if that was... If the 20, for whatever reason, checked up right there, or why Chad all of a sudden got into the back bumper of him, but we were kind of following that battle when that broke out. Thankfully, it looks like both of those cars are not damaged, but I have to wonder, did Chris Wright suddenly get out of the gas right there with the car already loose when Chad, unfortunately, was the next car behind him, or was there something more that we're missing?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it kind of just looked like, as we're back to live pictures here, it just looked like Chad Frankenfield drove through that 20 car. That's what it looked like here on, on our screen. That's my takeaway from that incident. So, yeah, I don't know.
You see the 37 of Ethan Burrell get a lap back.
Yeah, we'll see how much that damage is gonna, continue hindering him throughout this race. We did see him go off track. Does he actually have much damage there on the right side of the car? We'll have to see if we can get a shot of that when he comes back around here.
Back on the lead lap, however, he's still in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do down in 32nd. I think maybe a little bit of right side damage on that 37 car, but might still have enough pace to work his way back up to the front, assuming we can get that green flag running.
Well, you know what? There's a storm brewing out in the Atlantic right now, Hurricane Henry, and it's supposed to make landfall, perhaps in New England here, covering perhaps this area, but I believe the storm's already here. That's what we're seeing with these drivers, man. They have not had the green flag run we've kind of come to expect when we come to Loudon, New Hampshire. I mean, this is just a track where we don't typically see a lot of yellow flags, which, again, puts this back in the hands of the drivers, having a handful with this new car here to begin the season. I don't think anybody expected this, the drivers included.
Yeah, it's such an interesting case here. My understanding of what's going on right now is we had the first couple of cautions come out, and those were largely just guys losing control of their car. But what happened is kind of people started to realize that, okay, this might be a lot of cautions in this race, so I got to be aggressive here on these restarts when I've got the chance, make moves while I've got the chance, and we're seeing that aggression turn into more cautions. So, it's kind of a self-inflicted pain almost with these drivers thinking that, oh, okay, this is going to be a caution-type race, so I'm going to be more aggressive, and that aggression brings out those cautions.
It's definitely brought up the yellow flag at least 6 times here tonight. How many are we going to get to? Perhaps double digits by the time the night is all said and done.
We certainly could. I'd have to go back into the record books to see what the longest or the most number of cautions we've seen in an elite race before has been, but certainly has been at one of the shorter tracks. I know. I'd personally classify Loudon as almost an intermediate track with these cars. So you wouldn't expect to see these issues, maybe just teetering on the edge of being a short track. But yeah, man, the guys are struggling right now with the way these cars are driving.
Oh, a little bit of that accordion effect on that restart. That was something I wanted to talk to you later on in this race. How we have seen accordion effect style wrecks on a restart there. We almost had one as drivers checked up in the front and drivers in the back did not. Thankfully, no harm, no foul, but you can get a lot of radiator damage perhaps if something like that, a late race caution brings that out and you're not expecting the guy in front of you to not be going. R.C. Anderson, though, back on the gas. Here comes the 19 of David Tooker making his way inside the top 5 for the first time today, and he's outside of our reigning champ, the 31 car, Gerald Campbell.
Yeah, curious to see how this battle works out. David Tooker's shown good speed here, but Gerald Campbell's really been working his way up the order, up 12 from his starting position for Campbell. So very impressive so far here. Kind of avoided a lot of the wrecks a little bit in the mid-pack, and is right now running inside the top 4, trying to see if he can chase down a win here, because Gerald Campbell loves these types of racetracks.
He's now put the 19 of David Tooker behind him, and right behind Tooker is the 38 car, Jeff Green, who had that wild ride. In fact, it was contact when the 19 of David Tooker actually came down on the 38 car that kind of set off a late race caution. In fact, it was the last caution flag of the night. And Jeff Green, unfortunately, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, had a good run there. Unfortunately, it all came for naught. He's having a good run, though, but under attack as we see more action pick up behind him.
Yeah, Trevor Elam, I think, got a little bit loose off the corner, saved it, and kind of kept it running there, but almost
the yellow flag. Number 7 is out. Let's see who's feeling lucky or not so much as we take a look on our replay and find out what the cause was of our 7th caution flag. One car I saw
him. He was already off. Yeah, I don't even know if that was our caution, though. Let's take a look and see. It was right there. It was the 32 and the 45 coming together. And then, ooh, Richard Hines can't avoid that. Alexander Vanessant can't avoid that. All of those guys involved in that incident.
Oh, who's that sliding in there late?
Let's take a look and see. That was the 94 car, I think?
Kendall Noah player there with a late addition to the crash.
Very interesting there. I believe so, possibly. Yeah, man, that was so intriguing how that played out. So let's roll back here to when this yellow flag came out with Jordan Owens. So we catch just there. That's the hit between Dusty Dewar and Owens. And
he might have been. Did he get run into from behind? That was interesting to see. Perhaps he saw smoke. Maybe he thought those cars were going to go back down.
Yeah, and it was the 0-1 of Zishan Dura involved in that. That was my bad, missing that number on that car. That's what I kind of want to go back and see there. So interesting. Again, we're seeing this aggression here, even further back in the field, right? You know, not guys fighting for the lead. It's happening a little bit further back. Guys just trying to pick up, you know, an extra couple of positions, an extra couple of points, and they're the ones right now bringing out this, you know, these cautions.
I also want to ask you, Rasav, is it within iRacing Control's ability? Are we seeing some of these cautions play out due to double file restarts?
You know, it's tough to call it on the double file restarts. I think guys are doing a good job on the restarts. I think it's people making maybe just a bit of opportunistic moves here right now. You know, and that's something we've struggled with on short tracks and tracks in general, where you've got multiple lines that guys can take and multiple ways you can drive a corner. Because one thing I've noticed in calling this league now for 3 seasons is that, you know, generally the drivers here struggle with understanding that, you know, one driver may be fast in one portion of the racetrack while one driver may not be as quick, but, you know, they can trade that somewhere else. So a lot of guys you'll find are impatient. You know, if one guy's really good on the brakes, gets in the corner super deep, but then has to be a little bit slower on the center of the corner and on the exit because of how strong he was going in, sometimes you put him up against a guy who takes it easy on the entrance to the corner, takes a nice line off, and suddenly those two are colliding because while one is going as fast as he possibly can, the other is going slower to build up to speed, and that results in these crashes. So guys with different lines just aren't aware of what they're doing, and from up here at least, that's something that you expect to see better from these drivers. They really should not be doing this. You know, these are some of the best drivers here on iRacing. They shouldn't be making these mistakes. They should understand how other drivers drive this racetrack. But right now, it just seems to be a misunderstanding between all the drivers, and it's something that they've struggled with for the past 3 seasons.
All right, so caution flag back out for the 7th time here tonight. RC Anderson, no one's really been able to challenge him. Not that we've been able to see under the green flag condition. We'll see what happens here. That gives us some time. You know, I have some trivia here for you, so you might probably know this. So we'll start off easy. This race was won back in 2000 by one driver who led every lap in the Cup Series. Who was that driver there, Rashaf? Do you know?
Oh, you're asking me history lessons now? Come on. 2000.
Yep. I'll give you a hint. He was in the booth on NBC.
Was it? Wasn't Dale Jr.?
No, it was Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton.
I'm upset that you picked Dale Jr. over Jeff Burton. No, Mr. Jr. there, but
well, you're asking somebody who started watching the Cup Series in 2018, so a little bit new to this.
All right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot right there.
Oh man, back
Meanwhile,
to
the green flag is back out there as RC Anderson gets out to a start lead. You saw some contact there right at the beginning of that restart there with Jeff Green. He looked like he perhaps spun the tires a little bit.
Yeah, looks like he's all right, though, getting back underway, running in the 8th position, kind of on his own right now. So we'll keep an eye on Jeff Green. Doing a good job right now, maintaining some pace, up 2 spots from his starting position. One guy who's done a pretty solid job here getting up to the top is Dylan Thomas, showing his -1 to his starting spot, but actually got an EOL before the race began. Not too sure what that EOL was, but he's worked his way all the way up the order, and I think it might actually be the banner is incorrect on that particular car, and it is. That's not an Elite Racing banner, so had to work his way back up from the rear end of the field, and is currently running inside the top 6.
That is amazing considering everything he has had to dodge getting up there.
Yeah, same thing with Colin Fern. He's actually showing where he qualified.
Oh, we got one spinning in turn 2, and there's the yellow flag once again. Heavy hit. Couple of competitors stopped on the exit of turn number 2 right there.
Ooh, a lot of cars
and the
involved
caution flag is out for the ace time tonight.
Yeah, so it's going to start here with the first car we see is Dallas Myhan. We'll take a look at this 41 car. You already see some damage on it there, and just a big checkup through the corner. Oh, and the 8 car already around there, and that's what causes it. That's what starts it. Wow.
It becomes a parking lot right there. At least 8 or 9 cars falling victim to that single car spin. Johnny Thomas, the Daytona 500 winner, was involved in that. I saw Ethan Burrell perhaps snake through. Massey Weeks also involved. A lot of cars involved in this as Josh Robin finds himself spinning. Nowhere to go for David Westergreen and Dallas Myhan, who blocked the track for the other competitors, running about 20th place on back.
Yeah, I think there was Ethan Burrell involved in that as well. So, man, oh man, that's, you know, I'm scrolling through now. So many names involved in this incident. Let's just go through them all. You've got Dallas Myhan, Johnny Thomas, Josh Robin, Rusty Capel, David Westergreen, Scott Crump, Alec Balvins, Joshua Clark. I don't know if I've said him already. Dustin Dewar was in that. Casey Hatch, Brent Jones, Alexander Van de Sant, Harrison Talon. All of these guys listed as crashed cars in this particular incident. That's ridiculous. A huge one here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, that is something we don't typically see for this racetrack. And that 8th caution flag is huge. Now we're seeing a lot of takers on pit road, but I believe half those were the guys that were involved in this crash.
Yeah, a lot.
Ethan Burrell, his day has gone from bad to worse.
Yeah, you hate to see that for Ethan, but Chris Wright, the guy who I wanted to show coming down pit road, he's the first of the leaders to make that call to come down and pit here. So he might think we're within that fuel window that we were talking about, and we're probably thereabouts with, if we stay under caution here to the rest of the way, you can probably make it just under 100 laps here on fuel. So Chris Wright here going early, and that could be a really big move for him to get track position later on when the rest of these guys come down pit road.
Especially also, he wants to see this perhaps go green, because if it does not, he'll be able to take advantage of those fresher tires already. So that's a big play by the 20 car there. The caveat to that is starting where we've seen all the wrecks happen, and turn 2 has been calamity corner all night long.
Yeah, that's the big question mark, isn't it, about pitting in at this point in the race. It's will I survive to make it to the next caution? Will I be the next caution? Because you're starting so far back in the order. I mean, it's just crazy how much chaos there's been in the rear. And for guys who've been running up front, the last thing you want is to be involved in any of those wrecks. We saw what happened to Ethan Brell. Chris Wright does not want to become like Ethan Brell here tonight.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the running order right here. Kendall Noplayer, he was the car that spun the previous caution before that issue. He restarted in the back, and he's already up to 16th because of that crash. So that just shows you how many cars were involved and heavily damaged because of that one incident where the 8 car, Josh Robin, who I believe just kind of lost it. I really didn't see him have any further issue with another car around him. I think he just got loose. Around he went, and everybody else with him.
Yeah, it looked like he was just trying to wrap that bottom lane, and again, you just get on the power and you can lose, the rear end on that, and that's all it takes in these cars, it seems. So, yeah, expect to see that more and more tonight, or, I hope less and less, but the more we're seeing this, the more we're seeing guys further up the grid, guys we'd expect to see fighting for, top 10s, top 5s, and wins, making mistakes. So, who knows at this point? It could really happen to anybody in the field. And if you think about how big some of these wrecks have been, if something like that happens to the guy running on, in the second row or the third row, man, we could be talking about a huge pileup.
Working lap 55 next time by. 105 laps to go. This was supposed to be a short race here, but we are knocking on, only cracking into the second third of this race here. We're still 5 laps away. You see the 48 car get a good jump behind the 50. He's actually going to take second spot because of that. The 95 did not get going on that restart.
Yeah, we'll see what Adams can do on the outside, but it looks like he's not going to get there. Nick Massey's going to clear the 95, and Massey 2-second position. He's closer to R.C. Anderson this time than he has been in the past. We'll see if he can stay close. As here we go, Colin Fern looking to make a move here on the number 95 as well. Fern goes way up the racetrack, pushes the 95. We'll see how this works off of the corner. Who gets the better run? Right now it looks like it's Adams, and it will be. Fern now struggling to hold off Dylan Thomas in the 03.
Yeah, and that one wrong move he made trying to get into turn 3 cost him a lot on the straightaway, and now he's going to have to regroup. Here, we got cars sideways in turn 2 just behind them. I think they gather it up, thankfully. And that is going to be, the 28 of Joshua Furr. One other car spinning back into traffic, and that is going to perhaps, if everybody can get around him, it does not trigger the yellow, but it was a car definitely behind that went head-on into that outside wall right there. I think he gathered it up.
Yeah, not too sure exactly who that was that caused that wreck. It was some Camaro running a little bit further back, but man, oh man, that was very close there to getting another caution and getting an incident. We're seeing guys like ducking out like this, and it's ridiculous down this back straightaway because it looks like people are about to spin out. You're seeing guys here with tons of damage on their cars, and yeah, this is what they're having to deal with here in the back here. Lots of chaos.
And how hard, Rashad, is it to drive a damaged race car on with this model? Is it something that you just really... Oh, you see the 28 car really sell it in right there. Leaning on one another against 8 cars, or 8 tires, excuse me, quarter better than 4.
28 car almost loses it there off of 2. He gathers it back up, loses some positions, but he'll stay in this race here. We'll continue following. But yeah, to answer your question, it is tricky. It depends on where the damage is. Around a short track like this, if, maybe you lose the front bumper, it's not as terrible. But you're still pretty reliant on the aero effects. You're still pretty reliant on, getting correct cooling to the cars. Oh, Trevor Eland! Hard into the wall.
With a hard hit into the outside wall, head on. 29.
Man, let's head back here to the replay. The yellow is back out. And we saw it on our screen here as we were just going through the field. Trevor Elam gets on that bottom lane. You see just loses the corner, tries to correct, and heads straight into the outside wall.
Darrell Waltrip would say it did that hook and go straight up the hill, and that's exactly what happened there.
Yeah,
the car just caught at the worst point, and it went straight on into the wall. Obviously, a yellow flag for that car coming to a stop. I'm surprised he's able to drive it back, but heavy front-end damage. His day likely done here tonight.
Yeah, that's, we're seeing guys losing the rear end earlier and earlier in the corner, and that could potentially just be the tires are now starting to wear on these cars. They're going through a bunch of acceleration because we've had so many restarts now, and those rear tires now maybe are starting to wear a little bit more than they were expecting, and you're struggling to just keep the power down. So, yeah, I mean...
Oh, we're seeing some of our leaders come down pit road this time by.
Yeah, Colin Fern comes down, Josh Adams. We see Gerald Campbell, Jared Rexing comes down, Jacob Adams. There's Fern again. We see Tate Lytle, Kendall No player, Johnny Thompson. So lots of big players here all coming down. Interesting to note, though, R.C. Anderson, Nick Massey, Dylan Thomas, David Tooker, Jeff Green, Chad Frankenfield, Chris Wright, all of these big players that we've been talking about here early in this race staying out on the racetrack.
And that is important to note because the guys that are pitting right now, we are within the 90-lap fuel window, so they theoretically can make it on fuel. Again, we don't know necessarily tires, but if we're following the strategy of this race and how it's played out so far, we haven't really seen a long green flag run. So these guys are still up front, are still going to have to go down pit road, but the guys that have just pitted right now, they might be able to stay out. Look at the 20 car. I'd like to see where Chris Wright is. Yep, he's all the way back up to 7th. He had pitted just before that last caution. He's a little bit iffy as far as fuel. He wasn't inside that window, but with caution flag laps, that will be able to aid him a little bit. If I'm up in this front group, though, I'm a little bit worried because I don't see, consistently, I don't believe we are going to get a very... a green flag run, but if we do get a green flag run, these guys could be perhaps in trouble.
Yeah, they really could be. I think right now you're seeing guys banking on this being an entirely, caution-filled race here where we're going to run more laps under... we probably already have run more laps under caution.
Why not? They have nothing else to go off on. I definitely see both sides of the coin as far as you don't want to be in the back in that mess.
Yeah, it's definitely a risk, but it's a risk worth taking if you're some of these guys. It's early in the season. You can afford to do something like this. And honestly, like you said, that's pretty fair. It's not too surprising, or it wouldn't be too surprising to see a race like this just, continue going under caution. We'd hate to see it up here in the booth, and I'm sure the drivers hate to roll around here under caution, but... the mistakes that we're seeing, the car looks like it's very tricky to drive, and some guys still struggling with the old-fashioned cautions that we see here where just the patience hasn't been there. This could very much be a caution fest.
Want to talk about numbers here. Last week at Daytona, we reached 11 caution flags after completing 200 laps. That was a 2.5-mile racetrack, mind you. Tonight, we were on 9 caution flags and only working lap 63.
Yeah, it's been tricky. I don't really have much to say right now. Hopefully, we're able to get this run to work a little bit better. Guys are able to maybe be more patient with the car and with other drivers. But we'll see. Running lap 63 here, we'll see how long this next run is.
All right, so R.C. Anderson electing to start on the outside this time by. He gets on the gas, and he's already away. The battle is on for second place. Nick Massey and David Tooker up inside a podium run right now with the 83 right behind him.
Yeah, Tooker's going to try and hang it on the outside. He'll have the run off of turn 2. Could we see the number 19 car enter into the top 2 for the first time today? Not quite clear, I think, yet of the 48, but he is now. He's going to come down, and there you go. David Tooker to second position there over Nick Massey.
Don't look now, but there's the 20 car, Chris Wright, right on the outside of the 15 of Chad Frankenfield, and Chris Wright has newer tires. Oh, he in the 15 making contact. That is the second time we have seen those two get into one another, and the 20 car is going to pay the price without the yellow flag. Now it's out. More contact in front of him. One car spinning it off the base. That's Gerald Campbell in the 31. Caution flag number 10.
So it was a completely separate incident that brought it out, and it was Gerald Campbell, just same as we've always been seeing. Guys getting loose, coming off of 2. You see guys who take that low line off of 2. They're losing that rear end here, and we saw that once again here with Gerald Campbell. So around goes the 31, your defending champion, and he's going to go all the way to the back. Thankfully, no damage for him. Chris Wright, though, and Chad Frankenfield, man, I can tell you, those two are not going to be friendly with each other, either in the current race chat or afterwards. We're going to I'll have to keep an eye on the driver chat after that. It's going to be very interesting.
Don't know exactly what happened right there, but that is the second time we have seen those guys get into one another. And that one, it looked like, if we can actually go back and perhaps see a replay, or well, we'll wait to see if cars are coming down pit road. I think these guys are still electing to stay out. They do so, but I'd like to see exactly what the 15 was doing. Did he just drive the corner in too hard, or did the 20 pinch him down entering the corner?
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look here and go back to this incident here with Chad Frankenfield and Chris Wright. We'll see what we can find.
Yeah. Move over Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin. We got another battle on the racetrack.
Absolutely. Here, this is going to be so intriguing. Going to take a few seconds to get to it, as officially didn't actually show as an incident on timing and scoring, but of course we all saw what happened out here on the racetrack. Let's head back to this replay and take a look. There you see Chris Wright on the outside, Chad Frankenfield on the inside. Frankenfield just kind of keeps going straight into the corner. Wright comes down, and you see them come together here. So let's...
Yeah, but Wright's coming down in the lane he's expecting to use. The 15 car kind of used up his lane and more of Chris entering there, so I would place that more on Chad than the 20, but...
Let's see if we can get a better angle at this. This one might help potentially. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess that is hard. I guess there's two drivers going for the same spot right there, but man, even if that's bad luck, lightning doesn't often strike twice, but it has for those two cars.
Yeah, it really, I think that first one you could probably pin that on the 15 of Frankenfield, but that second one's a little bit more ambiguous there, because I think you've just got a situation of two guys going for the same piece of track. Chris Wright thinking he's going to turn down to make that corner. Chad Frankenfield thinking I can push up maybe a little bit in this corner to force Chris Wright to take a wider line. They come together there, heading into turn one. That's, an incident that we've seen so many times, I think, and not one I think you can really put on either driver.
So let's talk about the fuel window for these guys up front. They have not pitted since the drop of the green flag. I am not quite sure as far as how many caution flag laps to green flag laps they'll be able to run, but I'm still worried about these guys, because when do you decide to make your pit stop? The guys that are behind, I believe any caution flag helps them. These guys are expecting a rash of yellow fever to take place, or they might still be in a bind.
Yeah, I have no idea what these guys are running in terms of fuel and how well they're saving fuel. I'd love to, the crew chief in me wants to be looking at all the telemetry coming off these cars as they're running around, so I have that information. I hate not knowing that with how these cars are running right now. But yeah, if it's possible, why wouldn't you? If we've got cautions, if you can eke out that fuel, you can turn off the engine, coast it in neutral, down the straightaways here under caution. Why wouldn't you try and make it all the way to the end of this race?
It's not a bad strategy call at all. I just hope it doesn't bite them in the end if we do see a long green flag run. Pace car going to pull off for the 10th time tonight. The field back in the hands of R.C. Anderson, who jumps on the gas. David Tooker right behind him, and we're back under green here at New Hampshire.
Yeah, so David Tooker now consolidates second place. Meanwhile, you've got Dylan Thomas and Nick Massey now going at it for third. Meanwhile, it's Andrew Rucker and Jeff Green behind them going for the fifth position. Guys still double file here, spreading out down the back straightaway, getting a little bit chaotic there, but everyone's slotting into position. Right now seems to be running just okay.
Traffic jam in the back of the pack right there. It's everybody's trying to get back up toward the front. R.C. Anderson, though, has a good about 5-car length lead in front of David Tooker. But Dylan Thomas and Nick Massey. Dylan Thomas, as you had mentioned there, who had that EOL at the start of this race, doing a great job. He is in third and putting down some excellent... Oh, crash!
Oh!
Jacob Adams back in front of Jared Rexing, who now heavily hits the inside barrier with the 45.
hard
More
hit.
contact. Matthew Weeks also involved, and on his lid, tumbling down the backstretch, is Jared Rexing in the 10.
Man, that's a huge, huge crash there for Jared Rexing. Oh, you hate to see that. Let's head back here to this replay for when everybody starts to go off track here. Oh, that's already happening. Once we'll take a look back and try and see if we can figure this out.
So the first car sideways was the 25, the Piranha Camry of Jacob Adams. He gets to the outside wall.
Yeah.
Oh, he's placed into the wall by the 10. Not of his fault, and then tumbles about 4 times before coming back on all fours.
Yeah.
Look at this. Another sledgehammer hit to the outside wall before heading into the inside wall.
Oh. Brutal hit.
That
And
car
that's,
took at least 4 tumbles before settling back down to earth. We see Matthew Weeks also involved.
yeah, and that's Jacob Adams there losing that as they're going 3 wide off of turn 2. And Jared
It is
Rexing, nowhere to go.
ferocious.
Yeah, wow.
Ferocious in the back of the pack. It's just hunt or be hunted.
It really is. Man, that is crazy just how that's played out here. And obviously I think Jared Rexing's day is likely over in that 10 car, which is unfortunate. Big damage to that thing, tumbling upside down and all of that. So, yeah, a lot of big names involved in a lot of big wrecks here early on here as we're still not quite at the halfway point of this race. We're about an hour into this, into this race now and just hitting the halfway point. So hopefully we're seeing some green flag laps here, but otherwise we might see this go to a 2-hour race.
And I'm telling you, the chat, the Twitter feed, it's normally a lively an experience there for anybody that's a part of this on the inside here. I don't know if it's going to be as friendly tonight.
Yeah,
there have been a lot of wrecks.
For sure.
Tonight.
Already hearing from some of the drivers who are out of the race and just still observing inside the lobby. Yeah, no, I mean, the Chad Frankenfield and Chris Wright incidents, we know that, Chris Wright is very much not happy with Chad Frankenfield. I'm going to guess there's also not very many kind words going on between Jared Rexing and Jacob Adams after that one as well.
So the caution flag out for the 11th time tonight. This plays well into the strategy of these guys up front who are still banking on this not perhaps going green the rest of the way. They need these yellow flags, these caution flags, to come out in order to use caution flag laps to better their fuel strategy right now. Impressed by the run by David Tooker, he's been able to work his way up to the outside, and this is a young man who has a lot of talent and really wants to prove himself. I think he could do it there with R.C. Anderson on his inside. Green flag, not going to be out this time by.
Yeah,
But we are working halfway this time by.
The guy I'm going to keep my eye on here is Dylan Thomas because he's continued to work his way back up the order, showing big speed in that number 03 Chevrolet. He's up to 3rd position, and he's starting right behind R.C. Anderson. I'm going to say Dylan Thomas is going to try and challenge David Tooker for the 2nd spot here on this restart.
Whew. It has been it's been a night.
It really has
been.
been.
Not one I've expected here from New Hampshire. Here.
We're
I
only
didn't know
halfway
what to expect, but a real life, the record for caution flags is 22. I believe it's held at Martinsville. This track about double the distance there, as far as the on-track surface. But if we're going the way, we might reach that number in half the time.
Yeah. I'd love to see some green flag running, and I'm sure the guys up top probably don't want to see too many green flags or too much green flag laps here just because that might be what their strategy is as we're back underway here. But, man, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting, some laps in under green.
Cars that are starting to creep into the back half of the top 10 have been damaged already. That just goes to show how much carnage has been out there tonight. It has become the war of attrition to try and make it up to the point. R.C. Anderson, though, his car looking pretty clean, and he's had it out front the most. Wow, the 95 car, Joshua Adams, he had a good center of the corner right there. Will it pay off for him? Nope. There goes Nick Massey once again in that high lane.
Yeah, not quite. Josh Adams going to dive it deep down into the corner. You see Colin Fern does the same, forces Rucker to go up the racetrack. And there you go. Josh Adams does a great job there off of turn 2. Takes that position over Nick Massey. Now Massey's going to be in danger of getting passed here by Colin Fern.
And Colin Fern is one of those cars that pitted under 90 to go, so he has fresher tires than the guys he is racing, and he's putting that to good use there as he slides in front of Nick Massey, setting his sights on this battle in front of him with the 95 of Joshua Adams doing a great job trying to get that away from, I believe that's Dylan Thomas, yes. Yeah. Oh, one spinning out of turn 2 again.
Andrew
He
Rucker.
gathers it up.
Let's take a look here. Rucker just spins
No
it
yellow
and
flag.
saves it. Keeps it back on the racetrack. Helped a little bit maybe by the grass there to point him right in the back in the right direction. But there you go. One to note though, Josh Adams also on those fresh tires that Fern is on. Fern trying to make this pass again on Dylan Thomas. He's going to get it done this time by in turn 1. And now you've got Adams and Fern, 3rd and 4th, chasing down David Tooker and R.C. Enerson. Look at the pace advantage on that last lap. 0.2 of a second faster for Josh Adams over David Tooker. Actually, just over a tenth or about 10th and a half. Similar lap time, though, to R.C. Enerson. So Josh Adams trying to get clear of this 19 car and seeing if he can chase down our leader.
Yeah, clean air has benefited R.C. Enerson here, but the caution flag is back out. And now with these guys on a newer cycle of tires, as we see what triggered our yellow flag right in front of David Westergreen, perhaps?
Says David Westergreen was the one involved in the wreck. Let's take a look here and see what exactly happened as Scott Haney, there you go, comes together with the 12 car and up into the wall.
They were trying to go in for the same spot right there on the track, and did not work out for the 12.
Similar incident, I think, to what we saw with the 12 and the or the 20 and the 15, where it's just two guys going for the same piece of track and doesn't work out too well for one of those guys. So, man, what is this? Caution number 10?
This is 11 right now.
All right, I've lost track.
Actually, excuse me, this is 12. This is caution number 12.
Caution number 12. How about that? On lap 81 here.
So I like the call made by the guys on newer tires right there. They've been able to use those new tires in order to advance on their position. But now we see the 86 going in. Here comes David Tooker as well. R.C. Enerson stays out, I believe. No, he's actually going down, so he'll relinquish the lead for the first time here today.
Interesting. Tooker comes down with him as well, Dylan Thomas. So I think all of these guys who stayed out before all making that call to come down pit road here. So maybe that call coming to them and either saying, we're not going to make it on fuel, or that decision coming to them and basically saying, hey, look, the pace advantage that Josh Adams and Colin Fern had on that last run was too significant to ignore. We've got to make that stop, try and get that back, try and get those positions back.
And I absolutely agree with that right now, because if this had gone green, perhaps we see those tires perhaps equal out, but that still would not have helped them as far as their fuel consumption. So I believe the best thing was to perhaps pit right now, R.C. Enerson and David Tooker and the rest of the guys that we just saw on pit road, in order to try and combat the great move made by Joshua Adams and Colin Fern and others to stay out on this pit stop after already completing service when that fuel window opened. These guys we know can make it, so these guys staying out, this theoretically could be the last time that we see them on pit road.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, the question now is the guys who just pitted, that's a 20-lap difference. Obviously, you're talking probably more like about 6-7 green flag laps, so maybe not as big of a difference on your tires, but there is some difference in tire wear right there. So that's something we're going to have to keep in mind, where now the guys who just came down pit road are the ones with the advantage. So look back at P17, R.C. Enerson. He's deep in it. He's going to be, fighting these guys. You see right in front of him, Scott Crump doesn't even have a front bumper on that car. These are the cars that, all these guys have pitted in and come out around. They've got some work to do to get back up to the front with Josh Adams and Colin Fern. And
this is where patience has got to be exercised, as well as a little bit of being familiar with the cars that are around you. You yourself know that you have a good race car, it's undamaged, trying to work your way back up to the front methodically might be something that the other drivers up front don't have to deal with because they already have that track position. So there'll be a need and a sense of urgency on this restart here, but you also want to keep all 4 fenders on it.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect here for this second half. It's going to be really intriguing. I think, everyone's come down pit road. We've now got different tire ages. We've got guys who are strong early and have led the entire way, like R.C. Anderson, David Tooker, now running in mid-pack, and they've got some work to do, especially if we stay under caution here, because there's only limited, positions you can gain on each restart. So, it's really, this race right now is completely open. Anybody can certainly win this one, and that, in that aspect, it's very intriguing. On the other hand, I'd certainly love to see this race play out a bit naturally here, try and see if maybe we can get this run all the way to the end.
All right, so our pole setter, Joshua Adams, going to put the pedal to the metal for this restart as the pace car is back on pit road. The green flag is back out. Exciting Day Sports 150 once again underway here at New Hampshire. Immediately we see single file the front 3. Johnny Thomas, our Daytona 500 winner, doing a great job. He was involved in one of our earlier cautions. And so was Chris Wright, who's right on the back bumper of the 15. Keep the camera right there, because we might be seeing something here, folks. Okay. I have a feeling caution number 13 might be unlucky for somebody.
Yeah, we're going to see what this 15 car does and how long he's going to be out here on the racetrack. Chris Wright, there you see it, the bump.
It is. We knew that was coming.
No love lost between these two. Chris Wright going to try and make the move now. Is Chad Frankenfield going to retaliate? Because Frankenfield now has the inside, but Frankenfield middle 3 wide. They're going to come together, and he does.
My goodness, they go around, and that's going to collect other. Caution number 13 on the racetrack, and there's no question the 20 got dumped by Chad Frankenfield heading into the corner.
Here we go. We'll head back around. So here's that first hit by Chris Wright. He tells Chad Frankenfield, hey, man, you hit me twice on the racetrack. That doesn't fly with me. But then his big mistake was giving Chad Frankenfield the inside lane heading into turn 3. Frankenfield open to do whatever he pleases with that. And there you see, into the back of the 20 car. You see other cars involved in that. The 97 gets involved there. I'm curious, did R.C. Anderson survive that? Looks like I think he did. Makes it through with no damage. No damage on that 50 car. Same with Nick Massey, same with David Tooker. So those guys survived that, but man, oh man.
That's something that these guys have to be worried about as we see the whole back end of that Chevrolet is just gone.
There's Chad Frankenfield, the damage on the 15 car.
Yeah, there's been several chapters written in this book already between those two tonight, so that's just the latest one. And as I mentioned it, caution number 13, unlucky. I thought it might be the 15. It was the 20, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, oh man, that's 3 times now in an altercation that the 20 has come off worse. I think you could certainly make that argument. So, this is going to be very, very interesting post race. Would love to hear from either of these drivers, but. We're talking about, radioactive for elite racing leagues would not be a bad idea in a race like this.
Well, the cars are virtual, but the emotions are very real, and we've seen that play out here tonight.
Yeah, we certainly have, and guys take this racing very seriously. They're out here to win. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of pride on the line, this is what happens here. 3 incidents now between the 20 and the 15.
Yeah, and I'm surprised. What the 20 did. It was kind of what I would expect if I was the 15 right there. It didn't nudge him a lot. He kind of moved out of the way, but the 15 obviously feels like he's been raced wrong, perhaps by the 20 car. So I'm with you there, Rasov. I would like to be a fly on that conversation right there later on, but we'll see if we even get to the end of the checkered flag here, because that could still be a long way away.
Yeah, we're going to tick over to lap 90 here, and we'll probably go green flag racing on lap number 91. So long way to go still in this race. I mean, it certainly feels like we haven't even ticked over to that lap 100. Yeah, what's interesting is yeah, there's been no call from race control, I don't believe, about any of those incidents between Chad Frankenfield and Nick and Chris Wright. So my assumption is that race control called those incidents all as racing incidents, and that was kind of it. So interesting to see there. I probably would have favored one or two of those in the way of Chad being at fault, but race control doesn't seem to agree with me on that one.
Well, I think there's a lot of not agreeing there, so you wouldn't be alone here tonight there. Oh, working caution number 13. For those of you guys that have just joined us, no, this is not the start of the race. This is the restart for the 14th time that we're about to see.
Yeah.
And as I had already mentioned before, the pace car has pretty much, I believe he and R.C. Anderson, they're in a battle themselves as far as who has led the most laps tonight.
Yeah, I'd love to speak to the pace car driver because he is certainly getting his money's worth today right now, putting in the most laps around this New Hampshire Motor Speedway in the lead. And yeah, been an impressive drive by that pace car driver, but he's going to dive into pit road and give that up to Josh Adams, who's going to start this field back to green.
That's the safest spot on the racetrack right now.
Honestly, it is.
That pace car, I see he has seating for 4. We don't know exactly what that pace car is, but we do know it has seating for 4, so we could definitely fit in there.
That'd be entertaining, actually. I'd love to get a camera there on that pace car. We can watch the race from right there. We'd get similar vantage points, honestly, from the rear seat.
As we were talking about that, Colin Fern has put the point in his pocket. He's been able to drive around the 95 car and has done a great job. Now we'll see if the 95 can mount the attack. He's back on the inside using that less banking to his advantage. As more cars are still side by side, we'll keep an eye. David Tooker, he's been able to work his way up to the 13th position, and R.C. Anderson back in 9th. So they're not too far behind, and those guys now have fresher tires than the people up front.
Yes, they absolutely do. So right now, you're looking at the likes of Dylan Thomas, who's leading the way over R.C. Anderson in terms of these guys with the freshest tires in the field. Lap times that they're putting in this last time around is 30.57, best lap of the race for Dylan Thomas. That last time by, about half a second faster than Colin Fern in second place. So there's a pace advantage.
Yellow flag is back out.
Ugh.
14th one here tonight. This one's going to favor perhaps the 5 car. We'll take a look.
Balvin.
And Dallas, let's see what happens to the 5 car.
Yeah, it looks like it might be here coming off of turn number 2.
Yep, the dreaded turn 2.
Yeah, really. Guys have been struggling so much with this corner. Balvan spins it off of 2 and brings out the 15th caution, I believe, of the night. 14th. All right.
We're not there yet. Hold your horses there.
Getting ahead of myself.
We'll get there.
15.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get 15 in about 3 laps time, so no worries there.
Oh, man. What a night. I've only covered one season with you there, Rashav, so I'm not a seasonist to you, but I myself have never seen an elite racing race go like this, unfortunately. I think a lot of it has to do with this new car. These guys are just not used to the independent rear suspension. That perhaps is going to play a bigger factor into a lot of the races here this season than I think we actually gave credit for.
So I will say this, we've got some work to do tonight. I think we can do it, but last season when we were at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, there were 16 cautions for 64 laps. That is the goal for these drivers. We got 2 more chances, 3 more cautions, and we beat that goal set from last season. I'm going to go back a couple more seasons, see if we ever had more than that number 16 from last year. But we're going to see what's the most cautions we've seen here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
I don't even have that stat ready for the real world, but I guarantee you whatever number it is, is over the span of 300 laps. It's not going to be 150, so.
Oh, certainly not. Let's take a look here. So 3 seasons ago, we had 14, so we've just matched that from the 2020 A season. And then we're going to go all the way back to the very first season of Cup and see if they ran at New Hampshire as well. And I'll let you guys know if I find anything on that. I have not. So in the 2 times we've run before, it was 14 cautions and 16 cautions. So we're right on track right now, assuming we stay here, green the rest of the way. But that's
we will have averaged that. That will hit the average of that, which is 15 the next time by. So I guess we're not too far off what to expect. But what do you think? Yeah. What are the chances of this going green to the end?
Oh, I'd say next to 0 with what we've seen. I mean, I'd hope that guys are getting more patient and understanding the car more. But guys are saying the car is undrivable, which kind of surprises me, just because. It may be more difficult to drive, but, maybe we're not seeing guys adapting their driving style enough to adjust to this car, because there's enough drivers who've kept this car on the racetrack, with as many who've not been able to stay on.
So we're going to go green here, just shy of what would be the 2/3 distance of what we've been able to complete here tonight. 3 laps away from lap 100. And no shortage of action to talk about, really. I mean, pick a car. It's had a story here.
It really has. It's been so intriguing, I guess, in that aspect, because you've got guys, the order's shifting every single caution, because you don't know if you're going to be involved in that next wreck, or, if guys come down pit road, or that gets all shaken up. So we've got guys way out of position to what we're used to seeing them in. But man, oh man. It has been an interesting race again. I'm going to keep using that word. I think interesting is the kindest word I can give to say about this race. I'm going to keep saying that.
There's some other words here that drivers are using, but due to FCC standards, we will not repeat them. The green flag about to come out, I believe this time. I know it looks like we're having a little bit of a scoring issue here.
Yeah, looks like something happened where the pace car deciding to stay out one more time. So I think guys are ready 2 by 2, but... yeah, we're going to have guys just roll around. Once again, Tate Lytle I looked like Tate Lytle passed the pace car, unless that might have been Josh Clark who passed the pace car earlier to gain a lap back. Yeah, it might have been Josh Clark. But, yeah, we should hopefully be going green this time by. The lights are out on the pace car.
So Joshua Adams, who has been our pole sitter, I believe is our leader, I think. Or was Colin? I thought Colin Fern had actually passed him. I think Colin Fern is actually our leader. So we'll look for that 86 car to be the control car this time by.
Yeah, 86 will be the control. He got that outside lane. Likely he's going to get that jump line up in front of that 95 car, kind of take away that inside lane. But let's see how this restart plays out here. Again, some new players up front.
Tate Lytle in the 56 of Chad Frankenfield right behind him. R.C. Anderson lurking in the background, and the 95 actually gets the jump on the 86 car, and he'll take the lead away heading into turn number 1.
Yeah, Tate Lytle now, guy I'm going to keep my eye on. Lap 66 is when he came down pit road on the inside of Chad Frankenfield. He's going to try and make that move to get into third position and chase down these two ahead. Not quite able to get there. Frankenfield drives it deep into the corner. Lytle stays side by side with them, and Frankenfield with that high lane should get the exit off the corner that he needs to stay in front. But Lytle does a good job staying on his quarter panel.
R.C. Anderson going to make it 3 wide underneath Jeff Green, and David Tooker there goes to extreme high lane. He's going to get 2 for the price of 1. As David Tooker had made a good move to the outside, and R.C. Anderson had to make something. Oh, we got one car that did not get going. That was Chad that stacks up that outside lane. Here comes Gerald Campbell. Or excuse me, the 56 of Tate Lytle. He'll be able to go around him as well with Nick Massey in that 48 car with him.
Yeah, those, I think, what we saw there was Tate Lytle and Chad Frankenfield actually, I think, hit the sides of their cars a little bit there, came together, and that slowed up Chad maybe a little bit more than it did for Tate, since Tate had all of that inside of the racetrack. So here we go. Tate Lytle now up to third position, and Nick Massey, who's leading this pack of guys on the freshest tires in the field, is chasing down this 56 car and looking like he can make a move and chase down those leaders.
Well, he's better be able to look through his front windshield rather than his rear one, because that 50 car is looming. And it is coming. We've seen some pace out of R.C. Anderson there. David Tooker had just nipped the outside wall briefly, I saw, one lap ago, so he has to settle in behind Jeff Green, I believe.
Here goes Massey to third position. He's clear of Tate Lytle. Now he's got clear track, but he got a car on the wall.
Number 2. Wow. A savage crash by some competitor who just went head-on into the outside wall.
Yeah, it
was it
like
Gerald Campbell?
I believe it was Gerald Campbell here that's going to bring out this caution flag. Campbell, Harrison Talon, I think, are the two that are involved in this incident. We'll take a look and see what happens here. So there you see, actually, a little bit further up, at the 04 and the 6 come together. Campbell loses it on the bottom, hits the wall, and hits Harrison Talon there on the bottom. You see the 99 involved in that. Ooh, the 45 goes through, and the 44, the 10 car as well, all involved in that wreck.
So turn 2 has been a parking lot for several drivers there. David Westergreen also driving away. Can't even see the number on that. I believe that's Dallas Myhan, and it was Harrison Talon who's still stuck in the outside wall with a terrible hit.
Yeah, look at that hard hit, and that's day over for Harrison Talon. It's got to be the engine smoking. That car, he's going to have to tow that back to pit road. He's going to have to step out of that there. There's nothing you can do for that 23. So unfortunate for Harrison, because he's really, the damage he's gotten, today has largely been because he's been trying to avoid wrecks. And just hasn't quite had the luck to keep clean.
I think that is a good 1/3 of the field that would feel the same story or be able to tell that same story right there. There's just been no luck for some of these guys that are deep in this field. And as we had mentioned, we got the average number of cautions, which will be 15. I believe that was Chris Wright in the 20 car getting his lap back, or it might have been Scott Crump. But yeah, we are working the caution flag out for the 15th time here tonight. I got to take a break there for shop as well. So we'll use this one, the average caution flag, to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
My name is John Cunningham with C2 Freight Resources. We are a Hub Zone certified logistics company here in Houston, Alabama. We've been in business for over 20 years, working with the Department of Defense and the federal government, among many other customers. C2 is committed to truckload shipments along with less than truckload shipments across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Our high level of service is what keeps our customers coming back year after year. Our industry-leading transportation management software, along with our tracking software, allow our customers to know where their shipments are at any time, any day. In closing, C2 Freight looks forward to earning your trust and business through actions day in and day out. We know if given the opportunity, you'll be pleased with our service and communication.
Back to the action here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I want to thank, of course, C2 Freight Resources, one of our premier sponsors here in the Elite Racing Leagues, and also want to thank, of course, Blue Egg Marketing, another one of our premier sponsors coming on board for this 2021B season. They're the marketing department for small businesses. They are your absolute biggest fan if you're a small business owner. Whatever your constraints are, they help catalyze creativity, and they will absolutely help all small businesses punch above their weight class. So check out Blue Egg Marketing, as well as C2 Freight Resources, both proud sponsors here of the Elite Racing Leagues. And of course, our race sponsor here today, Signing Day Sports. They're a platform that allows parents and players to control their own recruiting. Launched in 2020, currently already has 20,000 players on the platform. Signing Day Sports is for recruiting and program management by over 500 colleges and 700 high schools. In addition to football, Signing Day Sports will be adding baseball, softball, soccer, and basketball in just the coming months. So check out Signing Day Sports today. Back to the action. We're about to go back to green flag racing here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the Signing Day Sports 150, and it's going to be Colin Fern and Josh Adams on the front row. You're going to have Chad Frankfield and Nick Massey lined up right behind them, and then R.C. Anderson, Dylan Thomas, some of the guys with those fresher tires lining up on that third row. Things are about to get very interesting.
They've been interesting all race long there, Rashad. As we get back under the green flag, working lap 107 of 150. They fan out into turn number 1. And there's the 15 of Chad Frankenfield to the outside, looking for some running room. But the 48 car, Nick Massey, is going to clear him, entering out of turn number 2.
Yeah, Massey's got the grip on those fresh tires. He's the leader of the guys with the freshest tires in this pack right now. So he's going to try and close up here on Colin Fern. I think we're going to see this happen pretty soon here. Nick Massey looking very strong, both entering and exiting the corner. Expect RC to also make moves on his teammate Chad Frankenfield down into turn 1. Frankenfield stays low. RC's going to take a look a little bit higher. We got two battles kind of here going on for the second position and the fourth position.
They are mixing it up further back in the back of
RC.
As we, looks at a little bit of a lag right there.
There we go. Enerson up to the fourth position, now behind teammate Nick Massey. Meanwhile, we've got a fight for the lead. Colin Fern going to the inside of Josh Adams as Massey sets the fastest lap of the race. That's a purple lap there on that last time around. He's ready to chase down these leaders and make that pass for the lead.
And you'll have to forgive me there, Verstappen. We're having a little bit of bandwidth issue right there. You were coming a little bit blurry across my screen as well as your audio, so I can't really see what's happening right there, but it might be just one moment, but I'll let you still pick up with the action.
Absolutely. We'll continue the action here while we wait. Might be some internet issues once again here on our end up in the broadcasting station, so hopefully those resolve themselves fairly quickly here. But yeah, it's Nick Massey right now chasing down these leaders, putting on, putting that car wherever he can, trying to make moves here. Colin Fern and Josh Adams are fighting it out ahead of them, which means that for Massey and RC Enerson, they're going to have an easier time trying to get past these guys. Look out for potentially 3 wide here into turn 1. No, it's not going to be. Massey stays to the outside. He's going to try and make that outside lane work on Colin Fern.
And I know who's loving that is RC Enerson, who actually has a little bit of a slip in turn number 2. Gathers him back up. And now he's using that outside lane to his advantage. He'll slice to the inside of Colin Fern, entering turn number 3 and take the third position, perhaps with some caution. Number 16, that ties us with 2020, looking for one more to break the record.
Yeah, looks like it was Scott Crump involved in this one. That's the one that we see. And we'd see that just after the incident's already taken place. So let's head back a few more seconds, take a look, and it's just loose, I think.
It's one of those cars, that corrects, and unfortunately, we've seen that time after time after time out of that corner.
Yeah, wow, that turn 2 is brutal on these drivers.
So he's going to take that car, I believe. He's off-roading a little bit. I like RC Enerson, so he's been able to kind of take the strategy that the 99 and the 86 had done and use it to his advantage. They, remember, had pitted beforehand once the window opened up. RC Enerson and the others decided to pit. And they're actually going to go down pit road right now this time. Interesting call.
Yeah.
Some of these drivers stay out, including the 19 of David Tooker, the 38 of Jeff Green, and others. These guys, this is definitely a tire strategy call. They feel that better rubber will increase their chances of going to victory lane. However, that puts them right in the thick of things going wrong on track.
Yeah, this is very intriguing to me because if you're Josh Adams, first of all, so you're the first car, you're the one who makes that call, so he was kind of, he was doomed if he did, doomed if he didn't in a situation maybe like that. He's kind of in the worst situation right now. He's got that track position of being the lead car, but right behind him is Nick Massey, who has 20-lap fresher tires. Yes, they may not all be green, but effectively maybe, let's say, 10-lap fresher tires. That's still significant at a track like this. Jeff Green has newer tires. David Tooker has newer tires. Right now, the man with the oldest tires on track is, in fact, your leader, Josh Adams. That's going to hurt him here if we continue running and we get, maybe 3-4 green flag laps, enough for Nick Massey to make a move. Look out for, of course, the guys who just came down pit road. Colin Fern leads that group off of pit road in 11th position, but there was also a group that pitted on the previous caution. Tate Lytle leads that group. So a few different groups of cars here that are on different tire strategies, different tire lives. We're going to see how this plays out, who's got the best pace advantage versus track position. We're going to kind of figure out where that exact balance is right now. Is it going to be the guys who just took fresh tires? Is it going to be somewhere in between? Can Josh Adams hold off the rest of this snarling pack here with fresh tires?
So, Rasad, place me in the 95 shoes. Does he know about the other varying strategies by the guys behind him? Is that something that you have access to as far as being the race, being able to see who is pitted and who hasn't?
It depends. I think within iRacing itself, I don't know as a driver you can get that information. But a lot of these guys run with some kind of timing and scoring that gives them kind of that info, tells them about gaps and when guys have pitted and things like that. So, you know, it's interesting in that aspect here. So this is kind of what we're taking a look at, and you see, you know, as we continue going further back, guys with fresher and fresher tires. Adams right now with that longest stint. So he's probably aware of it because he saw all these guys come down pit road and all the positions change. But he doesn't really know, I think, you know, that Nick Massey has tires from lap 81, that Jeff Green has tires from lap 72, unless he's been keeping note of that all race long, which unlikely he has been unless he's got a spotter or some kind of crew chief on the stand for him. So you're aware that guys have fresher tires, but you don't know exactly the scale of that advantage that guys have behind you.
All right, so Chad, Colin Fern, and Jacob Adams, all those guys, they're going to restart about 11th. And they do have the time to make up. So if I'm the 95, I'm a little bit scared. You never want to be the guy that's on the oldest tires there. That's a racing rule that's gone on since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here as the pace car peels back in. He'll do everything in his power to jump on the gas and get a good start, allowing those guys behind him to try and have to work for it. There's Jeff Green inside the top 3 for the first time today. Yeah, looking for more.
That's huge for Adams right there. The fact that Jeff Green was able to get to the inside of that 48 car. I think Massey will be able to clear Jeff Green here and start chasing after, but that means that turn 1 and 2 were just not a position where Massey was able to kind of close back in on this leader. And so that's just, again, another advantage for him. He could potentially make it to this next caution flag depending on when it comes out. You look at David Tooker as well. He's on that same tire strategy as Nick Massey. He's making progress up the field as well, and we'll kind of see if he's able to make the move on the 95 when Massey does. But look at this, the 48 car right on the back bumper of this number 95 car. I think he's going to peek out for the move here in just a second. You see a little bit of a blink there. He's actually going to stay behind the 95 this time around, and we're going to go on board with Nick Massey as he tries to make this pass on Josh Adams for the lead.
Right now, he's doing a great job applying the pressure there down the front stretch, but he can't look too far behind him because David Tooker is doing a great job, and he's on newer tires than I believe the 48 is. So we'll see how that plays into hand as the 95 still has a mirror full of the 48 car who doesn't duck low. We'll keep behind him, and caution flag is out, and that means we have just broken the all-time record, number 17 of the night. The all-time record of caution flags at Elite at Loudon has been broken here tonight. That's not a stat I wanted to say here, but it's happened.
Oh, it's Tate Lytle.
Tate Lytle. You see some drivers using actually the access road, part of the road course for New Hampshire, to their advantage to get away from a spinning 56 car.
Take a look and see how this occurred. Was it just Tate getting loose on the bottom, or was there someone else involved? Don't know if that 86 hit
net
him.
code. That was so close.
Yeah.
Or if even the air played a factor to that. He was already loose, and just having that little bubble of air by a guy pushing you from the 86. I don't think he ever made contact, but that's something where even in real life, you think as a driver that somebody hit me and everything, but it's just the air. And I know iRacing is very realistic with that. We'll see what happens. A combination of the 56 already loose right there, and then perhaps getting a shove by the 86. Everyone scatters.
Yeah, not able to see too well from any of these camera angles, unfortunately, to see if it really was any contact between Tate Lytle and the 86. I don't see anything about the 86 getting too many or any incident points there, so it might have just been a situation where, yeah, the air packed under the spoiler there for Tate Lytle and sent him around or just lost it.
It was already loose. Yeah. It didn't take much.
Man. So what is that, 17 you said?
17.
How about that?
Yeah, I looked at tonight's race and I'm like, hey, this is going to be an easy race, you know, 150 laps, New Hampshire, we can kick back. Let these guys take out. Loudon's usually a green flag runner, not tonight.
Well,
no.
I'll say this, we've got, in 2 weeks' time, prepare for a very long night because we've got the Southern 500 coming up.
I think I might be busy that day. I'm joking.
Yeah, might need to take that Wednesday off.
I might what do you call it? I have a doctor's appointment. I moved it twice.
Yeah, we also got to survive 100 laps of Michigan, which I hope shouldn't be too much of an issue for these guys next week. But yeah, it's an interesting calendar, a unique calendar. We'll, of course, also have COTA as well coming up a few weeks from then on September 22nd. A unique calendar for sure this season. And yeah, man, oh man, guys are gonna have an interesting time here adjusting not only to these new tracks, but also to this new car.
Yeah, I think right now everybody's going to have to go not to the drawing board, more to the driving board and just kind of practice log laps. Yeah. I think a lot of people, these drivers, I mean, they are the best. There's a reason why they've been invited to join this league. They've shown flashes of brilliance behind the wheel in iRacing, and Chad does a great job trying to find that talent and showcase it to what you see here tonight. Unfortunately, it's not so much the talent, but it is handling a new car here that is, I think, being the driving factor, no pun intended, into what we're seeing as far as the yellow flag here tonight.
Yeah, it really has been. I think the large majority of this has been this new car, and guys just have not gotten a handle on it. Not too sure why that is. You know, obviously it's, you know, not as many laps have been covered on this, but I mean, they have access to the setups and the car, you know, weeks in advance. This schedule was released weeks in advance. So, you know, it's interesting for sure. You know, you'd think guys would get a chance to understand what exactly the car does, how it behaves underneath them. But, you know, we're seeing right now that even if they have, they're still struggling a lot with the way this package handles and the way it works. And, you know, we could see this here for a number of races to come until everybody kind of gets a handle on this race car.
So under 30 to go. And working our record caution of the night. The field back in the hands of Joshua Adams, who's quickly back in the gas. He'll stun the 48 car, Nick Massey, but he'll bring along the 19 of David Tooker with him.
Yeah, that's big for Tooker. If he can get by this 48 car, he then becomes kind of the best guy on these fresh tires to take over.
Trouble! One car spinning in turns 1 and 2 and collecting others. It's a parking lot again.
Man, you saw Andrew Rucker there, Alexander Van de Sant involved in that. I think that's Josh Robin is in there. Richard Hines involved in that incident. Let's go back to this caution, or when this yellow flag came out. Started, I believe, with the 64 of Andrew Rucker on this restart.
They dropped the green flag here. Someone's just going to push up, I believe.
That would be my assumption here. Take a look. Rucker just loses it. No, entering the corner.
Did.
Loses it getting in. Chris Wright involved in that. We didn't see Chris Wright in that last picture. You saw there Alexander Van de Sant. David Westergreen just avoids it. You see down at the bottom there Josh Robin involved. So yeah, this is the shot that we saw when we went back to replay. And oh man, that same issue. I think that was a little bit different.
Lytle as well was involved in that. He might have been a late addition, but you go back to that earlier spin that he just had, and that put him in that position where he just couldn't avoid trouble in front of him.
Now let's see, started all the way at the back here, kind of end of line on this restart. We'll see what Lytle does, if he's able to avoid the rest of this pack, or if he does pick up some extra damage here. So we'll see this incident.
They're already wrecking.
Ooh, he does just avoid it, I believe. Yep.
Well, actually, no, because here he comes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Joshua Clark. I'm sorry, the 28 car, I believe. You see him backing up.
Oh, that's actually that's the 83 of Daniel Martinez, I think.
Daniel Martinez. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's that there. So Martinez loses it there on the bottom as well. I think all in that kind of avoidance. So, man. So that was a little bit different to what we've seen now from some other drivers, because guys have struggled with putting the power down. What we haven't quite seen too much of, at least so far until then, is guys struggling with getting into the corner and losing the rear end on corner entry.
That's very, very true. Now, we're going to go back to, I believe, 90 laps to go. The strategy is still in play, and it's still working for that 95 car as far as being able to stay out and use these caution flag laps to his advantage. We really have not seen a long green flag run, but these guys with newer tires, I still believe we're outside of that safe zone window, if you will, of if we get a little bit of a green flag run, he might still be hurting as far as newer rubber around him.
Yeah, if you're Josh Adams right now, your best friend is the cautions, honestly. You know, he's probably the one guy in this entire field and the booth that wants to see this race continue to stay under caution. I think everybody else wants shots at green, so. Oof.
Yep. And Joshua Adams, he is part of Belly Up Racing, teammates with Johnny Thomas, who won the Daytona 500, and Brandon Key, who we saw went around earlier tonight. But I know that racing team would like to start off the season 2 wins under their belt. That's one great way to begin their bid for a championship. But he's going to have to use some muscle in order to get that done. We'll see if that strategy call to pit when the fuel window opened up was the right call here tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. You know, it's going to be really tough, you know, for him if we do, you know, if we keep going the way we go. Josh Adams should be golden because he gets enough of a jump on these restarts where he can build up a buffer, and we're barely able to make it 2 laps in here on any of these yellow flag or on any of these green flag runs before we get our next caution. You know, we're at 18 cautions already here tonight, so. You know, if we stick with the pattern that we've been going with so far tonight, Josh Adams is in a perfect position. If we have a green flag run that goes 4, maybe 5 laps even, I think the advantage immediately switches over to the likes of the 86 right there, the 48, the 19, even the 50 a little bit further back.
We're going to find out as the green flag is back out. We're underway there with Nick Massey getting underneath the 19 of David Tooker. Will that be enough? Powering around on the outside lane, and they stay even, actually. A big block you saw right there by the 86. Colin Byrne protecting that position here. It is starting to get into go time. Jeff Green doing a great job running inside the top 5 here tonight. Caution is out. 19th one of the night.
Scott Haney in the number 3 involved in this one. 3 wide heading down to turn 3. I believe that already looks like a recipe for disaster. Haney comes down there and gets tapped. We've seen that incident before. Oh, 56 of Tate Lytle hits.
That time Tate Lytle did not get lucky right there. He suffered some damage.
Man, oh man, oh man. So again, another situation of guys fighting for the same bit of track. At some point, you kind of gotta figure out what you're doing about these guys, because while I think in an isolated incident you'd call that maybe a racing deal with, you know, 3 wide and it's just 3 guys fighting for, you know, track that wasn't necessarily there. You know, this has happened way too many times for a bunch of drivers, and you know, you've got to start reprimanding these drivers and figuring out what you've got to do to get this race to run under green. We haven't had more than, I don't even think we've had 10 laps consecutively under green yet in this race.
Unfortunately, we really have not.
Yeah.
And that is definitely unexpected here by the likes and talents that we've seen in this field. And I know as a driver, we talk so much about having a rhythm. Rhythm as how you drive around this racetrack there, entering the corner. You also get into rhythm as how the race plays out, and you can't find that rhythm if you're constantly going from 150 miles an hour back to 55 every 3 to 5 laps. It breaks your rhythm, it breaks your concentration, it puts you back in the zone where you could make mistakes. And so unfortunately, we're seeing that rhythm be broken for a lot of guys.
Well, we'll head back we'll get these guys lined up here probably with 1 lap to go here back to green flag racing. 21 laps to go in this race. The question is, can Josh Adams keep this lead here if we keep going under caution, and you know, pull off an improbable win? Honestly, at this point, I think you know, I'd probably argue that Josh Adams is. It's tricky. You know, I think if we go 2-3 laps here under green, Josh Adams is going to lose that lead to Nick Massey or David Tooker. But if we keep up what we're doing right now and have been doing for the past, 3, 4, 5 cautions, this race could very much be in Josh Adams' hands.
We're going to find out. We're under 20 to go. So this race is coming to a close there, slowly but surely. I'd hate to see what the average race speed of this race is. I guarantee you one thing, though. It is not what any of us expected here tonight. David Tooker on the front row, trying to do something that he hasn't done in a while. That is win with that 19 Toyota Camry, and he's in a great position to do so. Looks like we're going to get one more to go by the pace car.
Yeah, one more. I think they're now going to get lined up 2 by 2 here. Not sure if that was a delayed green or anything, but yeah, we see them all stacked up here, so that should hopefully be our sign to go back to green, as the lights are in fact out on the pace car, and we'll hit that green flag with 18 laps to go this time by. So well, another thing to keep in mind as well is this race could also be prolonged if we have our 3 green-white checkers that have been assigned for this event as well.
I was just about to bring that up here. New for this season, we have up to 3 attempts at a green-white checkered, and that could definitely very much come out to play here tonight.
It could certainly, and yeah, I would not be shocked if we go into triple overtime here for the finish of this race. Has been just the pattern that we've been seeing here tonight, and man, I hate to say it, but it really is just going to be cautions all the way through, I think, to the end of this race. Josh Adams with that early jump again. We'll see how long he can hold off if he can make it to the next caution.
We'll spun the pace car, getting back on the gas as soon as it turned back onto pit road right there. Nick Massey working on the inside of Jeff Green, who's under attack from Colin Fern. Here comes the 86 car on the outside as Nick Massey covers the spot. David Tooker now trying to protect that inside line. He gets a tap. He's sent wide. He's in the wall. David Tooker hard into the outside wall right there after a bump by the 86. And now he'll have to find himself back in 14th to the 15th place position. We stay under the green flag. And I believe, that might have been off the 48 car, Nick Massey, not the 86 car. That is unfortunate. Meanwhile, R.C. Anderson using that to his advantage. He's back on the inside of Colin Fern. Oh, Jeff Green! He takes out another competitor. They're both spinning hard to the inside wall. It's Dylan Thomas.
Dylan Thomas, hard hit to the inside wall. Jeff Green, we don't even see that 38 car where that is. He might have gotten away with that.
Now the yellow is out. But Dylan Thomas, who had passed perhaps the most cars tonight under the green and yellow initial laps here in order to work his way in, a victim of that after what I believe was Jeff Green just getting into the outside wall right there. Yep, he got loose. He bounces it hard, and Dylan Thomas, nowhere to go but the tire barrier in the infield.
And just after this happens, it sounds like Kendall Noah Player gets involved in one as well. There you see Tate Lytle comes up, and there you go. That's what brings out the caution, I believe, is this hit between Tate Lytle and Kendall Noah Player. Those other two were off the track, but this one at the exact same moment. There you go. So Kendall Noah Player goes around. Jeff Green involved in a wreck, as well as Dylan Thomas. So, yeah. Oh. Caution number 21. 21? 21.
No, 19. It's 19. We're almost to 20.
All right. I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll be at 21 in 2 laps time.
Very much so. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, give us your best guess. What... Well, we done seeing the yellow flag. Will it come back out?
Yeah, I'd love
later
to see,
on tonight.
I'd love to see the over under on on how many cautions people expect to see.
So now we are beginning to get into the nitty-gritty of this race, and we have a win on the line, less than 15 miles to the end of the Signing Day Sport 150. Competitors that lost ground in that, including Dylan Thomas, would be the 38 of Jeff Green. He's been able to recover, though. I think he's up to, or he may have actually pitted. I actually don't see him. So that's unfortunate. But David Tooker, also, he got a bump that sent him sideways and into the outside wall, and a good run gone for naught that Pro Edge Racing driver, unfortunately. I guarantee you he's probably not happy at all inside the race car after that bump. Whew.
Well, all right.
It'll be easier to tell you what drivers are happy with one another at the end of this race here, Jim, because I can't imagine anybody is going to be wearing a smile at the end of the face, except perhaps the winner.
Yeah, I'd say you've got one guy who's happy at the end of this race, and like you said, it's that winner. Speaking of unhappiness, I think I was going to say but when we hit that next caution flag, we have heard Chris Wright is willing to join us and talk to us about some of the incidents he had in Chad Frankenfield a little bit earlier and talk about his race. I believe that 20 car is done for the day.
You can join now. Have him join right. We want to know.
I'm curious as well. I want to see if we get some green flag action in before we get rolling here. I want to see, though. It looks like this 20 car is rolling, actually, so maybe not. We'll see. Maybe we can talk to him after the race, see if we can get some thoughts from him outside of the top 3. But yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on if Chris wants to come up and join us here in the booth. Also make sure he's had some time to contemplate what happened out here on the track between himself and the 15 car, and we can kind of go from there, I suppose.
So Nick Massey on the outside. Chuck Sweeting as well inside the top 3 for the first time here tonight. Trying to look to see where some of our other drivers like RC Anderson, I don't know, did we miss some people going down pit road? I see a shuffling of the field right here.
Yeah, RC I think got caught up in something. There might be some damage on that 50 car there on that front.
That's
left.
Interesting to see because he was running up inside the top 5.
Yeah, he was. So something happened there to that 50 that's taking him out of contention here late in the running. But here we go.
So Nick Massey, the rookie, you don't see yellow stripes on the back bumper here, but he's never been to victory lane inside the Elite Racing Series. Could tonight be the night? And Chuck Sweeting doing a great job inside the top 3 here, but they're all chasing Joshua Adams, the pole sitter here, out of turn number 2.
Yeah,
here comes Nick Massey with a power move to the outside.
Let's see, what can those fresh tires do? Can he get the run off of the corner, stay on the quarter panel of the 95? He can. Nick Massey is there, and he's going to have a nose in front across the line as there are 11 to go.
Things picking up, action picking up as Nick Massey goes to the outside lane, trying to use those newer tires, but Joshua Adams not going to give it up easily. They're still side by side, door to door down the back stretch. Matthew Weeks with a slide job. He gets in front of Chad Frankenfield. That's a battle for 4th.
Here we go, Massey trying again, 2 lanes up on the number 95. He's trying to get that run off the corner. I think he's going to get it this time. The 48 is clear of the 95 and into the lead as we go to 10 to go.
Massey started inside the top 5 here tonight, doing a great job to get his name up front, and it could count the most here with less than 10 laps to go. Action is picking up as we continue to see battles all over this racetrack here. There's Jacob Adams, a lot of these guys inside the top 10 with heavily damaged race cars. They're doing all that they can. Battle scars of what they've seen here tonight. Joshua Robbins in the outside wall with caution flag out, number 20 here tonight. Don't believe it was Josh Robbins right there. We'll see what happens as one car rides the outside wall down the backstretch. Let's take a look. The 19 of David Tooker gets into the 94 of Kendall Noah Blair. No, he and the 83 of Dylan Thomas.
Ooh, and Jeff Green involved
taking
in that
him
as well.
around.
Yeah.
So the same 3 cars, all those 3 cars that were having such good days less than 10 laps ago, it's gone from bad to worse.
It really has there, and yeah, back up front, so it's Nick Massey who will lead this field back to green. And interestingly enough now, you know, for Josh Adams, you know, he's going to be hanging on for dear life, I think, on these restarts now. But Matthew Weeks and Chuck Sweeting are 2 drivers to look out for us. I mean, pretty much Chuck Sweeting on backwards. You've got guys who pitted less than, you know, maybe 30 laps ago. So, you know, this is where things get very interesting. You know, you've got guys with fresher tires even than Nick Massey, and maybe the roles get switched here, where Massey is now the defender in a similar situation to Josh Adams, and you've got guys chasing him down with much fresher tires on their cars.
I like the line that Nick Massey was able to use to get around the 95 of Joshua Adams. He went not 1 lane, but 2 lane higher, and that kind of allowed him that separation on the exit of the corner to try and pull away. It took him about 2 laps to do so, but he was able to get away from the 95. He wasn't able to side draft him in the middle of the corner or get pinched down. And so that, coupled with the fact that he does have newer tires, I think played into the rookie's hands, and could tonight be the night we see a rookie driver get a win in only his 2nd start.
Yeah, that'd be extremely impressive. I mean, Nick Massey was hugely impressive in his debut season in the Xfinity Series. Last season, ran, I want to say that was the first time he took to the, took to elite racing leagues. First time he was involved in the series. Walked away from that with, I believe, just a single win, but it was an important one at Phoenix, inside the chase to lock himself into the Final Four to fight for a championship. So he was part of that there as a rookie. Ended up coming across the line, I believe, in that championship in the 4th position. A little bit further back, but yeah, I mean, what a season it was for Nick Massey, and it was enough to earn him a charter spot here in the Cup Series. Yeah, I mean, he's certainly showing that he's earned it. Great job here from the driver in his 2nd elite season, first time in the Cup cars.
Yeah, I can think of 2 drivers off the bat that have actually won in real life in only their 2nd start. I would ask you this, Rashad, but I know you've only been watching since 2018, so it might be a little bit before your time there. But in 2002, we saw Jamie McMurray subbing in for Sterling Marlin, who had an injury in Kansas there. Jamie McMurray would then go on to win in his 2nd start at Charlotte. And then in 2011, we saw young then driver Trevor Bayne win the Daytona 500 in only his 2nd start. So not unheard of, but some good company from real life about drivers having some success early in their Cup career, virtually or in the real world.
Yeah, very, very interesting there. So, Nick Massey would be in some pretty good company, I'd say, if he's able to pull this off. We'll see if he can. Yeah, I mean, different type of track here. He's done a great job, did great job in qualifying to qualify on the front row. So it's, this pace isn't surprising to anybody. He hasn't lucked into this position. He's had this pace, the ability to run up front and be competitive with these guys. The strategy has worked out for him. He's kind of put himself in a position where he's had these fresher tires. I'd be extremely impressed with Nick Massey if he's able to pull this off. He's got a lot of competitive guys, a lot of former race winners lined up right behind him, some of them with even fresher tires than he's got. So his work isn't done here for the night, I'll say that for sure.
It'll be the control car here. When the pace car gets in, it'll be 4 laps to go, 4 miles. We'll see, he'll be waving the magic wand at the magic mile tonight. Whoa, we see Nick Massey get back in the gas and stun the 95 of Joshua Adams, who doesn't get going. It's going to be a side-by-side battle for 3rd as Chuck Sweeting gets to the inside of Massey Weeks.
Yeah, the important part on that restart was Chuck Sweeting not getting underway as fast as I thought he would because he was lined up behind Nick.
Darn the wall hard! It's going to be the 8 of Josh Robbins, and he is going to collect others. Everyone, a late hit there. That's
Talon.
33. Or that's a 23, excuse me. I thought we saw the 23 there done. Now it might be. I'm surprised that he was still running right there. But the 8 of Joshua Adams, of Josh Robbins.
Ooh, yeah, just loses it there off of 2.
What we've seen all night long.
Scott Haney.
And there's just nowhere to go.
Yeah, Harrison Talon involved in that. I think Rusty Capel got a little bit of damage from there as well. So nothing you can do if you're any of those guys involved. And yeah, there you see Josh Robin back on pit road. I think that might be day done for him. Yeah, I mean, these cars are just so difficult for a lot of these guys to manage off of the corners. It's possible to drive these things. Guys just need more time, I think, and experience with these things. And right now, as it is, guys are just struggling with this next-gen car.
So right now, you're seeing 3 laps to go, but this is going to take us into overtime. So this will be our first attempt at a green-white checker. And Nick Massey trying to hold off a determined number 95 car, who's trying to get his team their second win of the season. The 11 of Massey Weeks trying to rebound from an accident at Daytona, would like nothing more than to come away with the win. And all the other drivers you see behind him, all still hungry. There's still a win on the line here, despite a very long and a very rash of yellow fever taking over the Speedway.
For sure. You know, I'd love to see this. I think if we can get this race to the finish on this particular attempt, I'd be, you know, extremely impressed by what these drivers can do. I think we're just trying to make it to the end of this race here. It's certainly been tricky for everybody involved, and I think every single driver, including the race winner, I think at the end of it is going to have to walk home and say, what was that? You know, how do we stop that from happening in the future? Because, you know, up here in the booth, you know, we want to put on a good show for you guys, and of course down on the racetrack, you know, nobody wants to be rolling around under caution for as many laps as they have been. So this is not an ideal situation for really anybody involved. Even the race winner, I'm sure, you know, would rather win it in a head-to-head battle against somebody rather than, you know, trundling around on pit road. So, you know, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, I think, after we finish this race here tonight, and hopefully we'll have them addressed by the next time we hit the track, in, you know, at Michigan this time next week.
They're 2x2, but the pace car still has his lights on, so that tells me that we're going to go one more lap. I'm looking at the 48 car, Nick Massey. Rookie driver, second start. What does he have to do here in order to make sure he walks away with a win?
Man, I don't know what Massey's going to have to do here. I mean, he's got the advantage of being the man on the inside lane, being the man with, you know, that pole position effectively on this restart, controlling the restart. So that should, if he gets it right, set him up for a number of laps, I think. You know, probably a lap and a half, assuming, you know, Matthew Weeks behind him doesn't get a good restart. After that, I mean, Weeks has 20-lap newer tires than Nick Massey. Again, we're talking about caution laps, so it's difficult to say exactly how many green flag laps difference there is. But it's an advantage for sure, and I think if Weeks can clear that number 95, get a good restart, clear the 95, Matthew Weeks could be a very real challenger, I think, for this race win here. So keep an eye on that 11 car, the second row on this inside lane.
More than half the field heavily damaged or involved in some sort of incident here tonight. That 48 car, though, looking pretty clean so far. The pace car about to take that hard left turn onto pit road, putting the field back in the hands of Nick Massey, who gets 2 laps to try and get his first win in the Elite Racing League. Green flag back out.
Yeah, not a good restart for Matthew Weeks. So that works for Nick Massey because that means the guy behind him.
Yellow immediately there, one spinning in turn 1. So this was our first attempt at a green-white checker. Now we'll have a second attempt at a green-white checker. And correct me, Rashad, because I do not know if we get to the third green-white checker and the caution comes out, does that just end the race, or do they even bother throwing the yellow flag? Do we get still 2 green flag laps?
I believe that will call the race. There you see Dylan Thomas goes in on the 38 and a huge wreck there. So Zach Evans involved in that. You know, we'll go back over and take a look at this restart. So once again, Jeff,
straight up ugly.
Yeah, this is not a great incident here. A lot of cars damaged in this one. Let's take a look.
One of those accordion effect style restarts there. Actually, Nick Massey, he didn't jump right on the gas immediately, and I wonder if that's kind of precipitated what we see right here. Drivers all with a lot on the line.
Yeah, to me, that's all started by Dylan Thomas. I mean, he dove that car in from 2-3 car lengths back on Jeff Gruen. That was never going to end well for anybody. So, I mean, I don't know. If I'm race control, I'm 100%, putting Dylan Thomas to the back of the field for that one. But, man, I don't know. I think we're seeing just guys getting impatient. Guys, at some point, you have to start thinking.
Have lost their cool.
Yeah, guys have lost their cool. I mean, at some point, you have to sit down and basically say to all of these drivers, yes, the car is difficult to drive, but at some point you've got to sit down and realize, well, one person is charged and has a job of controlling the car no matter how difficult it is to drive, and you guys right now are not able to do that.
How many cars do we have on the lead lap here today?
Let's take a look. Looks like it's 23. I think we've had enough cautions where there've been enough waiver rounds that it's about 23 or so cars, I think. Maybe 24 or 25 even, with a couple of cars on pit road. So, yeah, that could be exactly where we're at right now.
He's got Haney on pit road there. A couple of guys inside the top 10, though, having a great run, including the 75 of Chuck Sweeting there. Saw Joshua Clark being able to rebound there. How about Dustin Dewar? Doing a great job there, running along at 10th.
Yeah, Dustin Dewar doing a fantastic job. Not free of incident himself, was caught up in a couple of those, but relatively, I think, has a pretty clean car compared to some of the other guys we've seen on this racetrack. So, I mean, this is really racing like a short track race right now, despite being on a mile-long racetrack, and we're seeing what's happening. Guys have massive amounts of damage. Guys are impatient with one another. I mean, how many cars can you name down this front straightaway with no front bumper and no hood on it? I mean, look at that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it'd be hard-pressed to tell me that we're not at Bristol right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's so tricky, to gauge what the right move is after this race. I think all of these drivers need to sit down and put some proper practice laps in, because otherwise this is the kind of racing we're going to see all season, is guys just impatient with each other, impatient with the car, and we're going to have issues all season long where we're going to have cautions with guys just losing it on their own because they can't seem to get a handle on these new race cars.
All right, so we'll see what happens there. The 48 car, he had a little bit of a slower restart than what we saw last time, or what we've seen from other competitors that have had the lead on restarts there. And I, again, wonder if that played a factor into that action we saw entering turn number 1. But it is up to him when he decides to go. As we see a little bit of a blip right there.
Oh. We'll hopefully be back on track here any second now.
Whoa.
Give us just a moment here.
Even the game has a... Can't believe what's happening there. Nick Massey's still in control of this race, though. We're hoping the best for him if we do get that started without visual confirmation.
Yeah, trying to see if we can find anything here. Figuring out what's going on, and I believe, unfortunately, we will be right back with you guys. Hopefully we'll get this before the action... before we get back to the green flag action.
We're back with the action. Unfortunately, we were unable to capture it, but you're seeing the guy that's been able to survive the carnage that was New Hampshire. Nick Massey, you are a winner in the Elite Racing League. Congratulations. He gets it done in the Signing Day Sport 150 here at Loudon.
Yeah, unfortunate technical difficulties prevent us from catching that final restart, but Nick Massey gets the job done. I mean, what an incredible drive by him to play that strategy right, but also just to have that raw pace to win this one here at New Hampshire. Nick Massey locks himself into the chase.
See Anderson coming home in second there after being sent to the tail end of the field with less than 30 to go, so that is an impressive run there. Andrew Rucker in the third position, so obviously a great run for him. You're seeing the rest of the drivers here finishing. We have Chuck Sweeting, I believe he finished in 6th. There's Gerald Campbell, Jacob Adams, Chad Frankenfield, and Joshua Clark rounding out your top 10. I believe we do have enough time to interview at least our winner here tonight. We might not get to everybody here because tonight's race did run very, very long. And unfortunately, both Riversoft and I will have to get to bed here soon, but we are going to definitely bring in our winner here.
Yeah, we'll bring in race winner, and unfortunately, we just missed how it all went down due to technical difficulties. But Nick Massey, man, a race winner here in the Cup Series, getting it done in just your second Cup start. Talk us through your emotions right now.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I can't believe it. I can't believe I won that thing. I mean, I had no idea. There were so many cautions. It's just, everybody's on different tire strategies, and yeah, it just kind of all worked out in the end. I was up there on the freshest tires and was able to work around Josh, and just was able to hang on to the thing.
You join an elite, for lack of a better word, company as far as Cup drivers who have been able to win in their second start. The last two drivers actually were past previous Daytona 500 winners in the real world. They're Jamie McMurray and Trevor Bain also won in their second start there. But talk about what it was like to have that strategy there. I mean, you never really got a green flag run, so you're only on pit road, I believe, only once here. When did you know that was the case to go down pit road? And then what was it like making your way through the front with all those yellow flags?
To be honest, I had no idea. Me and RC, a teammate, were running, top 5 pretty much all first half of the race, and then the guys who did pit were starting to get to us. They're about halfway, like lap 75, 80. So then we decided to come down pit road, and that was the only stop we made, or at least I made. I was worried about, there were all the wrecks. I didn't know where they were happening back there. I didn't know if it was like, happening top 10, 20th. I didn't know. So I didn't want to be too far back there in the mess and then get caught up in something.
Yeah, man. Well, getting the job done despite the chaos that it really was tonight, and of course locking yourself into the chase here for later this season. I want to give you a chance here on air to make some shout outs.
Yeah, just want to give a shout out to all my teammates there at 90 Motorsports. A lot of good teamwork tonight. It's a lot of fun working with those guys. Thanks to Chad for bringing me on. Just shout out to Buddy who brought the sponsor on board, Shiba Inu cryptocurrency. It's awesome to come out here, and I think we finished 4th at Daytona and then won in the second start as a rookie, so that's pretty awesome. Just shout out to you guys too for putting on the broadcast. Oh, I do want to also, I don't know if it was caught on the broadcast, but I did get in the Tooker there, probably like 20 to go. I got in there a little too hot, cooked it in there, and got him, sent him up the track, and he got it sent back in the pack. Got involved in a wreck, so apologize to him. I didn't mean to do that. That sucks, but yeah, overall, good night. Can't complain.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right.
No problem.
So
that was our winner. He survived the carnage. That was New Hampshire, which I just don't say that this racetrack here. It's been that type of night. So I misspoke earlier. I said RC Anderson. I think our grid had failed to update there from those technical difficulties. So it's actually Josh Adams who was able to get in the second position there, and he's now joined by Rashav.
Yeah, we got Josh Adams, and Josh, man, it was close there towards the end in terms of being able to make it. You had the oldest tires in the field, and you were hanging on, and I think if we had just had some of those shorter runs that we were having earlier in the race, you could have hung on, but those fresh tires really end up prevailing at this racetrack. But still P2 across the line. Talk us through this eventful night for you and everybody else here in the field.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was kind of the same strategy I ran in our chase race here last season. I pitted at like an opposite caution and was able to change the track position again and get up front, and you almost held it. I knew those guys were going to be hard to hold off if we got a few laps in a row, and I saw a few of them like Fern and RC get taken out behind me, and I knew I had just Nick behind me, and it's like had trouble with one guy.
Well, it was definitely about a night of survival here. We talked about how nobody was really trying to find their or get a rhythm because of the yellow flag. Why did we see so many yellow flags here tonight? Walk me through that process as the driver. Was the car just that much of a handle?
It's really hard to say. It's not. I don't think it's the car at all, because I know you guys have seen we go to these tracks all the time that are a mile in length and longer, and the same issue arises. Whether it's the Xfinity car or the old Cup car or this car, it's just for whatever reason people like just have to be one spot higher than they're running. Like if you're 15th, you got to be 14th. If a guy's running 30th, he's got to be 29th. So not a whole lot of give and take.
Yeah,
what would you like to see moving forward in that aspect?
I mean, it's kind of a, I don't know how to word it. It's kind of a losing battle with what we suggest and whatever to maybe try and clean them up. I feel like some penalties should be a little bit more harsh. I don't know if it was the same guys at all, but we call a lot of racing deals that probably shouldn't be just racing deals. I think the drivers as a whole just need to clean it up. And if you cause a wreck, you should be willing to take some kind of penalty. That's we got to run these races more green.
Yeah, we definitely need to, and I appreciate you saying that, but also appreciate the effort that you put in here today, man. It was an impressive run, going from staying up front all race long and having that pace in your car, and of course the nice moves you were able to put on yourself and Colin Fern a little bit earlier in the race after you'd made that stop. But I want to give you one last chance here to make some shout outs while on the air.
Yeah, that battle with me and Fern, that just goes to show you can't have good racing with the car. You got to have the right people around. But Belly Up Sports for bringing me onto their team. Yeats Sunglasses. You go to yeatsofficial.com. Promo code Belly Up Sports gets you some swag over there. And we'll go to the next one. I think it's Michigan, and try and do this again.
All right. Congratulations again. P2 finish here for Josh Adams, man. You've been strong both races so far this season. We're looking forward to seeing more from you as this continues to go on.
Yep, I'm a terrible qualifier too, so I'm ecstatic that I could put it on the pole at a track that's not Daytona.
Absolutely, man. Well, great job tonight, and we'll see you at Michigan.
Thank you.
All right, those were our top two finishers. We're also going to bring in, we don't have Chuck Sweeting, our third place finisher, in the same position here as our third place finisher. Instead, we're going to bring in here Chris Wright. Wright came home in the 9th position, but one of the things we wanted to talk about here was this budding rivalry, it seems, on the racetrack between yourself and Chad Frankenfield. 3 on-track altercations. Wanted to hear your side of the story here, Chris.
Yeah, I lost all 3 of them. He gave us a lot of damage tonight, driving over his head. Guy just, I don't know. I don't think he runs at the front very much to know how people race. Still finished in front of him, though. Brought home a top 10. Great recovery. Felt great being able to pass him on the last lap.
All right, so walk us through what happened here tonight, because we were able to see all 3 issues here and what transpired between you and him. So just walk us through what was the reason behind this, and then how will you guys be racing going forward?
I honestly don't know. Chad and I thought we were fine. I really haven't had any problems with anybody, and it just, for whatever reason, down there in 3 and 4, he decided to drive through us, and, we got back going after that. And when I got back to him, I beat on his bumper a little bit, but I wasn't trying to wreck him. I was just trying to let him know that I wasn't, too thrilled with what happened. And he got turned a little bit sideways down there in 1 and 2, came up and doored us, and then down into 3, he just overdrove the corner, shot up into us, wrecked us again. And I think before that, he wrecked us 3 times tonight. It's just ridiculous. Guy just, I don't know. I don't understand what his deal is, but as far as moving forward, I owe him at least one, and he will be on the receiving end of something in the future.
Well, certainly this race was not free from drama, especially on your end there with Chad Frankenville. We'll continue to follow that over the course of the season, but congratulations still on pulling it home inside the top 10, like you said there. That car was barely recognizable by the end, but it seemed just the way this race played out that the condition of the car didn't really seem to matter in terms of that finishing result.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Nick. That's one of my best friends there. Him winning this thing was awesome. I know Josh finished up there, so those guys finishing at the front was cool. I don't know what Chad's deal is, but he said we were going to talk. We haven't. But I just want to thank everybody at Walmart, you guys for the broadcast, everybody in Corbin, Kentucky. We fought hard tonight for Belly Up Sports and Chairgate and all the guys, and we'll be back next week.
All right, Chris Wright then. P9 today, but certainly a rivalry brewing between himself and the number 15. We'll talk to you later, Chris. And with that, that's an interesting night here done at New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
We're going to be talking a lot throughout the week about what drivers can necessarily do while racing with one another. I think the conversation, as Josh Adams had mentioned there before, it doesn't focus so much on the car, but how drivers are actually interacting with one another, and perhaps iRacing Control trying to give out a little bit of stiffer penalty so that we don't necessarily see what we saw here tonight, because that is something of which we just don't expect from elite racing drivers here. This was kind of a shocker at Loudon here for our second race of the season.
Yeah, last season, at the beginning of 2021, they made the call to go for more lenient penalties and allow guys to maybe race a little bit more and allow incidents to kind of just be resolved as racing incidents. But I feel like we've possibly gone a little bit too far in that direction where we haven't seen much accountability for a lot of the on-track incidents. And mostly, was seeing what guys were getting EOLs for. A lot of it was kind of trivial stuff that was happening under cautions, like, if somebody was angry with somebody and just maybe doored them a little bit under a caution flag, or if a car was stopped on the racetrack and caused the field to have to go around for another restart. We saw that a couple of times where they had to delay the green. Cars got EOLs for that, but we didn't really see too many for the on-track altercations. I think that's something we're going to have to revisit, and something that race control is going to have to start looking at here and starting to crack down a little bit more. Maybe not going back to, if there's a crash, someone's going to get an EOL, but to look at them, much more deeply and basically say, is this a racing deal? Yes, no. If it's not, who's at blame? Actually go through a process there. I think there needs to be something like that set up, and we'll continue to figure that out within the elite racing leagues. But today definitely highlights, something lacking right there.
Well, more than 20 cautions here tonight at this 1 mile racetrack. We double the distance here at our next racetrack. It'll be Michigan. It'll be brought to you live right here on YouTube, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I want to give, again, another congratulations to Nick Massey. He was able to survive the carnage here tonight, and he gets his second win. That means, he gets his first win. That allows him to fight for a championship inside the playoff later on this season. That's something all these drivers would like a chance to say and do later on in the season. So we'll rack them and stack them again for Michigan here, and hopefully with a green flag showing better than what we saw here tonight. Last thoughts?
I can't wait to go to Michigan. I mean, hopefully it'll be a little bit of a cleaner race. Maybe, guys will have more of a handle on this car, and we can get some green flag running, because that's certainly been sorely missed tonight.
Well, as I mentioned before, they have double the racing distance around a 2 mile racetrack versus 1, so hopefully we will see that green flag. From all of us here for the Elite Racing Network, I want to give a shout out and thanks to Blue Egg and C2, as well as Signing Day Sports. Thank you for all that they've done. And again, catch us right here Wednesday night next week for Michigan. Right after the Real Cup Series goes there, we'll be able to put on a show ourselves. From all of us at the Elite Racing Network, we hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation. So long. We'll see you next week.